So I can be free. I take the weight on my shoulders. I feel the sky come down on me, and I can't hold it much longer. Gotta let go so I can be free. Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Happy Monday, people. FT Live, Krasinski, Kratz, Braun with you, and we will not have our regular live show on Tuesday, July the 4th. It is a holiday if you're unaware. Just a little programming note for the top, but we're hustling for you today. Dave O'Brien from The Athletic on the Braves, the best team in baseball. It's not even a question now. Just save it right now. Ken Rosenthal and Ryan Helsley of the St. Louis Cardinals also joining us later on, and someone's getting arrested. It's probably AJ.
It is.
Because he is around the country and we can't find him. So good. Someone finally found you. But anyway,
hey,
did you know?
I'm on the north side. I'm on the north side of Chicago. That's why they're coming for me. If I was on the south side, I probably have a get out of jail free ring that'll get me out of jail. But on the north side, they come for me.
Cubs fans love you. Love you. Do you know, Kratzy, we are now well past halfway through the season. We're at 51% past the season. 42% increase in stolen bases, and the average game's a little over 2.5 hours. This is a different game, just letting you know.
It's a different game, and the 4.5 inches matters. Wish Todd was on here to find that out, but I still don't know if we're going to get 70 plus.
Yeah, Ruiz.
Estuary, he's still got to keep getting on base.
He's in the 40s. I believe he's at 42 at the moment. The Oakland A's non-all-star. Rooker's the all-star from Oakland. But let's charge the damn mound, and we will begin with trade season officially beginning. I was super excited to see this. The only thing I wasn't excited about was the fact that we were off the air on Friday, and then this pops up like hours later. Aroldis Chapman from the Kansas City Royals to the Texas Rangers. The Rangers might have the most clear-cut needs and goals at the trade deadline. They can swing the bats. They need pitching. They very much need relief pitching. They rank towards the bottom in ERA, strikeouts. Great way to fix that, AJ, is to pick up Aroldis Chapman, who was talked about as an absolute lock to be traded, but also one of the better swing and miss relievers that you can get, who can make a difference for you in the playoffs as long as he can find the strike zone, because he usually goes through a what the hell's going on for a couple weeks. But what do you think about this?
Just don't let anyone steal home off of him, okay, Scott? All right.
Gotcha.
This is one of those signings with the Royals when they say we signed Aroldis Chapman. You know what you already start doing as soon as they announce that? Looking at when the trade deadline is and where he's going to go, because he had almost no chance unless he was hurt or pitched awful of staying in Kansas City for the whole year. So it makes total sense for the Rangers. It makes total sense for the Royals. There's certain teams I think as a veteran guy you sign with, and sometimes it might be your only place to sign. But when you sign there, you say, okay, I'm getting traded from there at the trade deadline. I can survive 2 to 3 months anywhere, and then I'm going to go to a contender. And this is basically what happened to Aroldis Chapman.
Yeah, he knew it right out of the gate. I don't think he was sitting there going, I'm going to definitely carry the Royals to the postseason. I think he was sitting there going, I got to get back in the graces of whatever MLB decided they, wasn't going to give me a job last year because of whatever the Yankees said about what happened at the end of the season. Some of it's hearsay, some of it's, could he quit on the team? Who knows? But he came out and he's punching out the world, walking a little too much. But that's the beauty of a closer. But if you don't have him in the closer role, guys are a little more impatient. In the ninth inning, guys want to get stuff done, and they want to be able to swing the bat. And so you can throw a few more balls. He's walked a few too many this year because he's going to be outside of the closer role at the beginning of his time with the Rangers.
So will you let him close ultimately if he is locating? Because the one problem for him has been the walks, but otherwise the numbers are spectacular so far this season for him. He's 35 years old. He's got a 2.45 ERA. This is his best season since 2019. 179 ERA plus, averages 100. 53 strikeouts in 29 and a third. So first off, are you putting him in the ninth inning? I mean, you have another good lefty back end guy in Will Smith, but I think Will is less concerned about where he's pitching.
No doubt. I think, yeah, why would you not? The one bugaboo for the Rangers this year has been their bullpen and their closer. They've blown a ton of leads, and they've stuck Will Smith in that job, and he's been good. But you can put a guy in there who's closed out World Series and closed out big games and playoff games and all this thing. You throw him out there and you let him go, and especially because of the year he's having. Now, some people are going to come at you and say, well, it was the Royals. It wasn't high pressure. Doesn't matter. This dude has done it. He's a legend. And then, yeah, you stick him right in there and say, Will Smith, you're a great setup man. Go get the 7th and the 8th.
I think they're gonna pound it at whatever spot in the lineup they're at. I don't know if I haven't watched enough Rangers games at the end. I only watched the highlights of them mashing all over the yard. But Chappie's striking out way too many guys to not have him in high leverage roles. And I think Will Smith, that's his spot. He's been doing well with it. But I think you're right. I think he is more willing to be like, all right, I'll go get outs wherever. And I think that's kind of the new role of what bullpens are. But again, with Chappie's control issues, I think that plays better in the ninth inning. And he's been there. I mean, Smitty's been there too. So it's not, I think you got two great options.
And for me, props to Texas is the last thing I'll say. Thank you for going for it right away and making a deal. I actually think that what they gave up wasn't super heavy. Obviously, one of the dudes is 17, Ronnie Cabrera, toolsy, pop arm, whatever, but 17 years old. He's not like one of the top prospects right out of the jump. And then Cole Reagans, who's got good stuff. His fastball velocity has ticked up a lot because he had trouble locating. But for me, I wasn't like, oh my gosh, they had to give up the farm for Aroldis Chapman. I actually thought it would have cost them a little bit more in terms of prospect capital. No, you didn't think so?
Dude, it's a half-year rental. No.
Yeah, but it's Chapman. He's one of the better relievers.
Doesn't matter.
That's what a rental. That's why so many teams are going to go and get every reliever possible. They just don't give up reliever. They don't give up that much for relievers. But shocker that the Royals got an outfielder that's got some speed. I don't care if he's 10 years old. Outfielders, Royals, that's what they do.
My bigger question to you all is, before we get into the All-Star Game stuff real quick, who's next? Who's going to make a move next? Because this is an early move. And I love the Rangers for doing this, but who's next? Who's the team that's in contention or on the fringe of contention that's going to make the move that then every other team goes, oh my gosh, we're in panic mode, we got to go do it?
I'll go Houston. The Astros are 4 games back of Texas. They just beat the Rangers yesterday. But I'm reading into Dana Brown, their GM, saying that they're going to make more of like a major league move potentially because they don't want to go dip into their farm system because it is ticking down a little bit. Plus, you had those sanctions on them. So I could see them trading one of their outfielders, right? They've got Julks, they've got Myers. Chas McCormick needs to be playing every day. I could see them making a deal like that where you're giving up a guy that has more years of control for maybe like a rental. So just throwing something like that out there. I'll go Astros. You got one, Kratzy?
Mine would be Orioles because they're cheap and they just want to get something. If they can find something on the cheap and give away like their 10th through 13th prospects, I think the Orioles would jump real quick.
All right, let's hit the All-Star rosters. We got the full thing announced. And your number one snub is, who wants to go? I think AJ does.
Wander Franco for me, no doubt. I know he went through some stuff with the team, but his numbers, what he's done for the team at the best record in the American League. He plays shortstop. He was a premium defender. He's an offensive force. For me, it's probably not even close. It's Wander Franco.
It's not even close. I mean, I completely agree with you. I don't know the whole thing with the team. I don't think that had anything to do with fan voting, or maybe the fact that he plays for the Rays, he didn't get enough fan votes. But the players, I don't think that had anything to do with it. Mine, Spencer Steer. Spencer Steer's got an 867 OPS. He is the highest OPS in like the top, I don't know what it is. I think top 20 guys that didn't make it in, and it's not even close. The next closest is Goldie, but Goldie, tough position. But Spencer Steer has had a unbelievable year for the Reds so far and deserves to be in. Probably will be in, but isn't in there yet.
I don't think he's a lock to be in. And I like Steer a lot too, but I don't know if he's a lock, Kratzy. I haven't seen him pop up. I was up way too early this morning. I read like 3 or 4 snubs articles, and I didn't see him in there. I'm with you, though. I mean, he's on pace for about 30 homers. He's a rookie. He's been great. I don't think he's been talked about enough. He's been overshadowed by some of the other rooks there, right? Like Matt McClain and Ellie De La Cruz, of course. So it's a good call, but I don't know. I don't know if he gets in.
Dude, everybody, as Kratz said the other day, everybody makes the All-Star team.
No.
There'll be so many guys that are like, oh, my left labrum is sore. I'm taking the days off in Seattle. So
Fissures.
Yeah, can we place a wager then? Let's place some type of dinner. A dinner on Spencer Steer.
No, I was going to say, if he gets in, you have to wear your tank top you had in our production meeting. And if he doesn't, then Kratz has to wear it.
Kratz?
Okay.
If
and then AJ pays for dinner no matter what.
Yeah. And AJ pays the tank top dinner. I'm in. That's perfect.
No, I meant on the show. Not out to dinner.
No, I know. On the show.
Okay.
Yep. No problem.
Fine.
Easy. Done. I can wear my McAfee. Let's show some of the rosters, though. We have them all prepped. So let's give you a look at what we're working with here. On the American League side, pitching wise, I love that you've got both of those Orioles relievers in there. It's a must. Bautista and Cano, they are a force. That's why that team closes out games. You can see some of the rest of the list here. Castillo's the only Seattle Mariner, and it's in Seattle. George Kirby, I think, is fringe and might make it. It's a shame no Julio Rodriguez. He doesn't have that kind of year, and he will be in the home run derby.
Well, McClanahan's already out, so there's one for Kirby. Out. Kirby will be on that list.
Yep.
Right. Someone else just
Zach Eflin maybe coming in there.
I think Eflin and Snell are over Kirby. I think what Snell's done recently, striking out the world.
Snell's
ahead
league,
of him.
But Snell's on the other side.
Yes. Oh, I'm sorry.
But yes, and
I was
also
thinking he's American League again.
If he pitches for the American League, that would be a story.
Hey, he might get traded. He might get traded if the Padres keep doing this. I mean, they lost another terrible game for them yesterday.
Didn't Fromber just go on the IL too? I thought he did.
He came out of that game.
He got pushed back. He got pushed back or went on the IL, something like that. So there's 2 spots maybe.
So many late breaking news articles.
I thought Fromber went on the IL. I could be wrong, but I thought he did.
I know he left. I don't know if he went IL yet, but I get what you're saying. He's probably anybody that's feeling anything this week is not pitching. That's where you see the most replacements. Let's hit the next list here. The pitchers on the National League side. Cool to see Edwin's brother, Alexis Diaz, making a big name for himself. The only Giants rep, Camilo Duval. That says actually a lot about what the Giants are doing. It's not a team full of superstars, yet they're competing. Props to Bryce Elder on this list. Our boy Hader. Keller had a really cool video when he found out he made it, and Justin Steele and Marcus Stroman. Strider's on there for the first time. So cool to see these guys. One quick question before we jump, and also props to the Braves. We'll get into that in a sec. Should Ohtani, like for example, this year, does he get 2 All-Stars on his ledger or 1?
1.
But he's a pitcher and a position player.
1.
Like, should he be a 6-time All-Star in 3 years?
1.
1? Okay.
Because unless there's 2 games, like you can go to the AAA game that Kratz played in every year, and then he could get 2.
Yeah, do it, Ohtani.
He's got
We'll
one
let you
on
hit and pitch and
He'd
manage the game.
probably get whacked in AAA All-Star game. By the way,
He would not. No.
Oh, well.
100 with a splitter plays.
Indeed.
That's what Alek Manoah thought when he pitched against those rookie ball kids and didn't play.
We'll get to Manoah. Dave O'Brien's going to join us in a moment, by the way. The Atlanta Braves sent 8 players to the All-Star game. They're sending 8 to Seattle, which is incredible. So let's run the poll right now. Scan the QR code on your screen on Stadium, or if you're watching on Stadium's YouTube channel right now, or watchstadium.com/foul territory. Many ways to get involved. We're talking Derby. Who else should join the Home Run Derby this year? We already have J-Rod, Vladdy, Mookie, Arozarena, Pete Alonso, and Adley. Mm-hmm. And your options are Acuna, Soler, Matt Olson, Luis Robert, Kyle Schwarber. Very solid list to choose from. Pick one. We'll be back to talk Braves domination.
Today is July 3rd, and here's some memorable moments from this day in baseball history. First up, a birthday shout-out to Greg Vaughn, born this day in 1965. Vaughn, known for his raw power, played with 5 different teams during his career and was known as one of the premier sluggers of the 1990s. For his career, Vaughn bashed 355 home runs, including a career-best 50 in 1998, helping lead the San Diego Padres to the National League pennant. Jumping ahead to 1966, Braves pitcher Tony Cloninger put on a show at the plate against the Giants at Candlestick Park. Cloninger didn't just hit 2 home runs, they were both grand slams. In an offensive display for the ages, he drove in 9 runs in the game, a record for pitchers. In 1968, Louis Tiant of the Cleveland Indians set a modern major league record. In a grueling 10-inning bout against Minnesota, Tiant struck out 19 batters, setting the record for most strikeouts in a 10-inning game. His consecutive performances were equally impressive, racking up 32 strikeouts over 2 games and tying the record of 41 strikeouts in 3 consecutive appearances. Lastly, on this date in 1983, the Texas Rangers offense went nuts in extra innings against the A's. They piled on 12 runs in the 15th inning of a 16-4 victory, setting a major league record for most runs scored in a single extra inning. And that's a wrap on this day in baseball history. And now, back to foul territory.
Here we go. Scotty Braun, AJ Przinsky, Erik Kratz with you on Stadium, running on YouTube. And now joining us, senior writer for The Athletic, covers the Atlanta Braves, Dave O'Brien with us. And Dave, great to see you. And also AJ's been like calling for some Braves writers to get on while he's on. So glad we have you linking up at a time when your team that you're covering is sending 8 players to the All-Star game, and they deserve it. What a week it's been. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. How you guys doing?
Very
Bowman,
good.
Bowman,
Very
it's
good.
nice to see you, Bowman. Oh, wait, you're not.
I'm about half a bow.
Troll City.
Hey, did you ride your motorcycle in today, or?
I've been able to ride about 2/3 of the time this year, because if it's not more than a 20% chance of rain, I ride to the ballpark.
I like
but
it.
We're getting into the summer months where we get a chance of rain about every day now. But it was a good first half, though, for as far as good riding weather to the
Dave,
ballpark.
can we start with the poll question for you? Can we get an answer from you? Because there's some Braves involved. So we said, who else should join the Derby this year?
Yeah.
Options are, and I know Acuna already said, I'm not doing it this year.
Right.
But we threw him in there because why not? Acuna, Soler, your guy Matt Olson, Luis Robert, or Kyle Schwarber. Who would you want to see?
Yeah, if Acuna had not said no, I'd put him probably, but Soler and Olson not very far behind. Soler is liable to hit 500 feet and in a home run derby. He's pretty exciting to watch, and take BP especially. But Acuna he's otherworldly, man. But I tell you what, I think Acuna made the right decision. If I was having the season Acuna's having, I wouldn't do a damn thing to disrupt, even the chance of disrupting it, because he's doing some historic type things. He's on pace to just blow away lots of standards.
Can't argue with you on that. But, some guys like Juan Soto go into it and say, it helped my swing. So maybe Acuna could get even better. I don't know. Matt Olson, he just hits homers. That's all he does. I don't think it would mess up his swing.
And I don't think it's going to bother him.
Soler, ex-Brave, great. This should be the All-Star, the Braves All-Star game with 8 guys, the entire infield, and you could make a case that Travis d'Arnaud could have made the All-Star team.
You could. How about they've had 3 different catchers make it in 2 years, because Contreras made it last year as a DH, but he did what he did as a catcher. And then they got a totally different one this year make it with Sean Murphy, voted to start in his first year in the American League. And by the way, I was looking at this morning because Murphy doesn't have quite enough PAs to qualify for rankings now with d'Arnaud playing more. Murphy's still the primary catcher, but he's got just enough to not qualify. So I put in 200 plate appearances and looked at the National League. If it's 200 plate appearances or more, the Braves have 1, 2, 3 in OPS in the National League. That's crazy, man. With Acuna, Murphy, Olson.
Have you seen a better Braves lineup in the last month than in your entire time?
No way. No way. Even Chipper said this is the best Braves team offense he's ever seen. He said they had a hell of an offense in 98. He remembered having 6 or 7 guys hit 20. It wasn't quite that. It was 4 guys hit between 30 and 40-something that year, though. But the next 2 were like 13 to 10. And I think that's the difference in this Braves lineup is there's never been a team, not that I'm aware of, certainly not that I've covered, with the depth 1 through 9. I mean, you got the reigning National League Rookie of the Year batting 9th, Michael Harris, and he's on fire now. You got Eddie Rosario, who, by the way, led the team in OPS in June. In a historic month where they hit 61 homers, National League home run record for any month ever. Eddie Rosario led the team in OPS in June, and he's not on the All-Star team. And Marcell Ozuna has been on fire since the beginning of May. He's not on the team, All-Star team.
Dave, couple things. One, don't ever compare yourself to the 98 Braves, because there's a very sad song by Morgan Wallen about the 98 Braves, how they didn't win.
Right.
So, and then 2, how dare you compare this team to my team in 2016, okay? We were the best lineup the Braves have ever had. We won more games than anybody ever did. So give us some damn credit, okay?
Said nobody ever.
If only not for injuries, man, right?
No, man, I know. If only we didn't have such bad players, we would have worked out.
But no, it's been pretty crazy because just when you think you've seen just about everything, you see Acuna have the season he had in 2019 before he got hurt. You've seen the first ballot Hall of Famer with Chipper, who was the best player I've ever covered, overall player. Then Acuna comes along and is threatening. If he plays 5 more years like he's even close to this year, he's going to replace Chipper in my brain as the best player I've ever covered. But this team, though, the depth they have, it's like a team like maybe the Mariners back in the day in the Kingdome, that team they had that incredible offense, then got beat in the postseason. But this Braves offense and the way they feed it off each other, and I think what really kickstarts it each night is their unbelievable first inning propensity that they have for scoring runs in the first inning, with Acuna coming right out of the box hitting bombs. I mean, it's like first pitch, be in your seat, because if it's even close to the strike zone, Acuna's hacking, and there's a good chance he's hitting it out. And the first inning numbers are, Sarah Langs had a stat the other day. Their first inning numbers, they've got more hits, homers, and runs scored in the first inning than any other team has in any inning this year.
They're good. By the way, Freddie Freeman says, screw you, Dave O'Brien, as far as the best players you've ever seen, okay? So he just texted me. It was like, wait, did Dave O'Brien just say Acuna over me and Chipper? Oh, he said, screw you.
I didn't say him. I did not say him.
You just didn't mention him. You didn't mention him.
Freddie is right up there for sure.
Okay.
For sure. But I got to take the whole defense into account too, right? With Acuna and what he's doing defensively and base running and everything. Hey, man, Freddie, I would have to say Freddie is right there with Chipper as the best all-around hitters I've ever covered. Freddie's an unbelievable hitter, man. He really is. We all know that.
It's too late. Don't kiss up. It's too late. You already
He's gone, man. Who cares about it?
Oh, yes, that's exactly what I expected out of you.
No, but how about if you take into account the other recent Braves too, with the whole infield is in the All-Star game this year, and then you got Freddie and Dansby are both in the All-Star game as well.
Just Atlanta heavy. Just like
Ron
AJ always
Washington,
says
man.
about
Wash.
yeah,
It's a wash
right.
thing.
Is that what it is? No, it's Sal Fasano. Sal Fasano's
Sal,
Sal
Big
Fasano
Sal.
and Kevin Seitzer.
I know who it's not. It's not Kevin Seitzer. I promise
It's
you that.
definitely Kevin Seitzer.
It's definitely
for sure.
not.
Yep.
Come on, man. Sykes has done a hell of a job with this team, man.
Yeah, come on, AJ. Atlanta bias, like your New York bias.
It's more Seitzer bias, but we'll get into that another day.
Yeah, we'll
Don't
hit
get
that.
into that when I'm not on here.
Yeah, exactly.
Dave, what is like? Do you think they turned the humidifier off because the balls in Atlanta are going farther than any other stadium? Is it the team, or is their humidifier broken?
Well, I would say look at the averages that the visiting teams are hitting there. I don't think they're exceptional, are they? I think it's pretty average what the visiting teams are doing. I mean, and the Braves have hit some bombs in some other places that we've been as well. So I would have to say it's the Braves. I think they feel a little more comfortable hitting at home, but I haven't noticed other teams hitting 490 feet there. But I mean, I could be wrong. I haven't really done the research, but and it's just now getting humid. It was warm. It was drier than usual here, which is not to say it was dry, but it wasn't as humid as it normally is. But we're there now with the humidity. But the balls are flying. There's no doubt. I think it's just more the team, though, than anything. They got some long ball hitters on this team, as you know.
Dave, let's find some pimples, though. What's wrong with this team? You got to give me something here. Give me something that they need to do at the trade deadline. Or do they say, this is so beautiful, I don't want to touch anything, of course, with Kyle Wright and Max Fried coming back at some point, too. And if they make a deal and it doesn't completely fit or there's a losing skid, they're going to be like, shouldn't have touched anything.
Right.
It was perfect.
Right. And if they stay complacent or they don't do a big deal, then and they don't do anything in the postseason, then all the fans are going to hold them to account for sitting on their hands. But I think you have to. They know better than anyone where Fried is and where Kyle Wright is. I think they fully expect Fried to be back not too long after the break, maybe by August. And they're kind of slow walking it with Fried to make sure that when he comes back, they're still going to have plenty of time for him to get in postseason form by the middle of September or so. I think that's the one. If you look at it, they're getting by with the starting pitching. Now, they still have great starters ERA. It's the best in the National League, I think. But I don't think you can go into the postseason without a really strong trio of starters. And you got two with Strider and Elder. But I think if you get Fried back, that would really kind of fill in that gap. And then you got Charlie. When you go to a longer series, you got Charlie Morton as a fourth, or Kyle Wright, or whomever you're going to put in there. But they've pieced it together so far, going with these guys like Schuster and Dylan Dodd and AJ Smith-Shawver came up 20 years old with like 3 years of pitching experience in his life. So they're getting by doing it. I don't know how they have, but they have, because they're outscoring people, as is the biggest reason. But I think in the postseason, they really got to get if it's not Fried, if they're not certain about Fried, they need to go out and get a starter. But I think they're fairly sure that Fried is going to be, max Fried when he comes back or close to it. So I don't know what the answer is. You can always add another big reliever. They can always use another reliever because, they're getting some big contributions from some guys. Jesse's been on the shelf now for a few weeks, and they're a different bullpen without him and without Dylan Lee. But they expect to have Dylan Lee back down for the stretch drive. But they really are leaning on some guys in the pen that have not accomplished a lot in some big situations. But they're answering the bell so far for sure. But I don't know that they have a glaring weakness that they need to fill in. Obviously, they don't need to go out and get another hitter. They're set with that. They could use a fifth. They could use a backup infielder. Now that's picking nits, but they've got Charlie Culberson as their backup infielder, and he's been on the team for almost a month. He has not played a game. He literally has not entered a game. They have not used a backup infielder in a month.
Oh, we know about the dad story. Hey, Dad, first pitch. No, just kidding. But now he's back. So we were saying he's
back now.
He's got to do a makeup first pitch.
He's back, not playing now.
Yes, back to not playing. Yes, but he'll happily take that. But I'm with you. I mean, you have to
Yep.
anticipate. Hey, injuries are going to pop up. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
the trade deadline occurs, and then there's still a couple months of baseball. So just
Yeah, I mean, they could have an
stack up
injury at
depth.
any time. It changes
Mhm.
everything. Obviously, they're not the same team or even close without Acuna because he does so much to ignite this offense. He's they as many great hitters as they've got in his lineup are solid hitters. They're a totally different team if you take Acuna out of the equation and everything he does starting the game.
Have you had a chance to ask any of the players about their thoughts on the division? Because they're running away with it. The Marlins you just saw, but they ran right through them. They've been surprisingly good. I'm sure Braves players are looking around like, damn, the Mets aren't giving us anything this year. They might actually
Right.
be sellers. They're probably smirking about that because ever since that turnaround last year, the big series, they come back from the huge deficit in the division. The Mets really have been sinking as a ball club, and it continues despite having Scherzer and Verlander.
Yeah. And ever since the throw it again game is when the Braves have kind of taken things to another level too. But no, I think they still have a tremendous amount of respect for the Phillies. The Phillies usually play them tough. They did in this last series as much, and they think the Phillies have played good. But if you look, the Phillies didn't lose any ground on the Braves during that tremendous month the Braves had. The Phillies maybe lost one game on the Braves. The Phillies were kind of going lockstep with them. And I think they know that Dave Dombrowski is trying to win one more championship. He'll trade anything they've got left, and the Phillies owner will spend a little money at the break or at the trade deadline to add some salaries if they need to. So I think they still know the Phillies could be right there. I don't think they're worried. They won't say they're not worried about the Mets, but they're not worried about the Mets. The Mets are out of it, man. The Phillies, the Marlins are doing this without Alcantara doing anything. The Marlins have got a solid young team. They really do. You wouldn't know it from the Braves games because they're like 1-8 against the Braves, but they're about 20 games over 500 against everybody else. So I think the Braves, the division, if they're being honest, they know they're going to win the division, but they're looking for a lot more than just winning the division. Anything less than going to the World Series this year is going to be a failure. I really think so.
Damn, look at you just stirring the pot. The Phillies are dead, the Mets are dead. We
I
own
didn't
the
say the Phillies are
Marlins.
dead.
I mean,
AJ, don't put words
wow.
in my mouth, man.
Man, have you changed?
I did not
Dave?
say the Phillies. I said the
wow.
Phillies are right there. I said the
Wow.
Mets are dead. The Mets
Yeah.
are dead.
Oh, since the throw it again game, just talking shit. I get it. Just talking shit on the whole division. I understand. I mean,
Like
that's
you're
what you guys
talking, like
are
you were
doing.
stirring it up with Freddie a while ago with me, man.
See, you learn from the best. You learn from the best. Is Snicker all right? So I know they have a great team, but is Snicker the best manager in baseball? And then another question that's completely different. You mentioned Dodd earlier. Have you seen his jersey when he pitches? It looks like 4 zeros. Can we get the Braves to make a little change on his D so it doesn't look like 0-0-0 on his back?
I haven't noticed that. You asked me about Snicker, and if I say yes, you're going to say, "Oh, look, you're going to." I would say that Snicker is the best at running a clubhouse, and I think that's probably the biggest part of managing is handling the guys, not the X's and O's so much. I still think Craig Counsell is probably as good a manager as there is, but you can't argue with the results. And I love Dusty Baker. I think Dusty's for the same reasons as Snicker. He's such a great people person. His team wants to play hard for him. So I think Dusty's great too. But I don't know. I don't know that there's one guy that really stands out right now as an X's and O's genius or anything, or if that's even that important in the major leagues.
Okay.
What do you
I
think?
just recorded that, and I'm just sending it to Snit. So when you see him later, he's gonna ask you about it. I don't know.
Who do you think is?
Right now, Brian Snicker looks like a damn genius because they got 8 All-Stars and Alex.
Everything he does, man. Yeah, he pushes the right buttons.
Now, how do we get Ron Washington a job?
Well, he's 70. So I think some teams really wasted an opportunity in the last 5 years or so when everybody's obsessed with hiring the young guys, the analytically inclined guys. They look past an opportunity to have Ron Washington leading them because to me, there's not a better guy as far as motivating guys and wanting guys liking him and wanting to play hard for him than what Wash has a huge impact on this team, not just on the infielders, but the whole team. He has a really big influence on this team on a daily basis, just with the communication he has with the guys. Everybody respects him so much and everything he's out there. He's got so much energy, man. At 70, it's like, I want to have that energy when I'm 70, half that energy. And he's still smoking heaters, doing what he's doing, in and out there hitting fungos, 2 hours a day in the heat. It's just amazing to watch him. It really is.
So he thinks Ron Washington's the best manager in the game, and
He
Craig
could have
Counsell's
been a damn
second,
good one.
and Snedeker's third. I got you. I got you.
I think Snit's a great manager. I really do. And I think he learned so much from Bobby Cox about how to handle a clubhouse and all that. I think that's the biggest reason why he's been able to do what he did. Getting his first managerial gig at age like 63, something like that. I mean, that's pretty crazy, man.
If he was got it at 63, then he's 70.
60. That's right, because he's only 67. He got it at 60.
Okay, because I was saying now you're saying Wash is better because of it. We're fact checking you here, Dave, on this show.
Yeah, don't fact check me, man.
Are the Braves nervous about the playoffs? Do you feel like the Braves are sitting here going, "Oh man, we blew it last year," or that was an anomaly? Because it's the same team. They have not changed anything.
Well, yeah, it's the same team, but Fried had missed time last year with the flu and lost like 10 pounds. And if you know Max Fried, you know he can't afford to lose 10 pounds, man. And Strider had not pitched in a month because of an oblique thing. And he went against Philly and blew him away for 2 innings and then just fatigued, man. He was nothing after that. So that was a huge part of that series, on top of the Phillies getting hot at the right time. I mean, the Phillies were all of a sudden were hitting. We're getting huge hits, and their ballpark was it was loud there last year. So they got out at the right time. I think this Braves offense is so much better now. With Acuna was not the same player last year. Acuna was a shell of what he normally is last year. He's playing with the sore knee for most of the year, never really got on any kind of a roll. So, I mean, yeah, it's mostly the same personnel without Dansby and got RC at short, but it's the same personnel, but it's not the same personnel, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. And for me, Acuna makes easy sense because he was coming off the knee and he kept talking about it last year. Yeah, night and day difference with him. What's surprising to me is some of the players that were on the roster last year that were average to below average players. And I know Ozuna picked it up towards the end of last season, but then he kind of sunk back down in the playoffs. They figured him out. But Ozuna, well above average hitter this year. Orlando Arcia obviously is on another level right now. It's players like that to me that stand out that make you look at the lineup and go, well, shit, the bottom of the lineup I can't handle right now. Is that the biggest surprise offensively for the ball club? And is there any reasoning for how those guys improved so much?
Well, yeah, Arcia went from – what did you say?
He said Seitzer.
Oh, yeah. Well, besides Seitz. Arcia went from competing for – the shortstop job in spring training when the two rookies kind of stepped forward midway. They said it was going to be Shoemaker Grissom. All of a sudden, Arcia had faded in after coming into spring training, saying it was going to be Arcia or Grissom. Shoemaker had a couple of good weeks in camp, and all of a sudden, even Snit said we're going to take Shoemaker or Grissom. This was a week and a half before the end of camp. We're going to take Shoemaker Grissom, and Arcia was going to be the utility infielder again. And then they did an about face on a week, 3 or 4 days before the end of camp, and said, no, we're optioning both of those, Shoemaker and Grissom. We're going with Arcia. So Arcia, nobody saw this coming, what he's done. He has not hit as much lately, but he still had a tremendous first half. I mean, obviously he's in the All-Star game, was voted to start. But a few of the other guys you mentioned, Harris really, was hurt the first month of the season with the back and then the knee. So he didn't really get going until 3 or 4 weeks ago. And Chipper, said, once he gets going, I think you're going to see the offense go to another level. And it really has since he got going. But it's kind of like, everybody, Ozuna was terrible last year. Had the arrest, had the second arrest in 2 years, and he was bad. And then this year he started off so bad in April, all the fans were booing him. He was getting booed by Braves fans on the road where you could hear it, But he caught fire at the beginning of May, and he hasn't really cooled off. I mean, he's been tremendous in May and June. So it's kind of up and down the order. They're getting it from everybody. And I think they're kind of, to use that cliche about guys feeding off each other, they all say it. I don't know if it's true or not, but it seems to be true with these guys. They really do seem to be kind of, feeding off each other in the lineup. They're having so much fun, man. These guys have a great time out there. It's obviously easy to have a great time when you're beating the hell out of people, but
Dave, I don't know if you know this or not. Scott doesn't because he never played. But when you're hitting and scoring 1 billion runs every day, baseball is really fun. Yeah, it's really fun.
It seems like that's a key to having fun. Is winning and scoring a ton of runs.
Yeah, if you don't score a lot of runs, guess what everyone's like? I'm so sad every day. But if you're hitting bombs like the whole team is for the Braves, guess what? Everybody's lining up the bat rack. It's fireworks. It's like, let's go. We can't wait to play today.
Otherwise, you look like the Mets, man.
for the 26. We're the 2016
Boom, there it is.
There it is.
There it is. Drop the mic. Drop the water bottle. That's good. That's good. Hey, and that's math. So
Hey, you
easy
asked
that
me
I
who was the
can't
best
do it.
manager. Showalter won Manager of the Year, didn't he?
Oh
He
my,
did win it last
dude,
year.
your Mets fire is has no ends in it, Dave. Your
Let him
Mets
cook.
fires.
Nah,
Let him
man.
cook, baby.
That's not.
No, that's what this show's about, Dave. I love it.
I'll
That's good
stop.
fun. You got to kick them while they're down right now. Braves fans are loving it. So great to have you on. Great to
When
see
haven't
you.
they
We
been
appreciate
down?
it. Yeah,
When was the last time they weren't down?
AJ, he's got it today.
I mean, he's on fire.
No, they won
got the
101
hot
games last year, man. Jesus. They weren't down last year.
No, they weren't until towards the end of last year. You guys kicked them, and like you said, then you're
Well,
gone.
I'm not one of them. I'll just cover the team. But yeah, the Braves,
The
Braves kicked their
Braves,
ass when it mattered the most. You're
They
right.
have been kicking their ass. There's no
They
doubt. Dave,
They did.
great to have you on. We appreciate it. This was awesome, man.
Great being here, man.
Thanks,
Thanks.
Dave. Dave
Thanks,
O'Brien
fellas.
from The Athletic, and you can follow him as well at DOBRIENATL. Writes great articles for The Athletic. We'll run through our answers to the poll question. Who else do we want to see in the Derby? And preview tonight's matchups coming up on Stadium.
And now, back to Foul Territory.
We are back on Stadium FT Live. Bron Kratz, Pierzynski, and by the way, in hour number 2, Ken Rosenthal is going to join us, and so is Ryan Helsley, who's currently on the IL for the Cardinals, but we'll get a little injury update from him and see if he thinks the Cardinals are going to make a run. Anyway, poll question results. Home Run Derby. Who else do you want to see in there? We had great options. Kratz, go.
I got solar power on my house. I want solar power in the home run derby.
Nope.
Why are you shaking your head?
Acuna,
wrong with
baby.
that?
Let's go. The most exciting
No.
guy in baseball. I don't care. I want Acuna. I want him wearing his yellow batting gloves, his yellow shoes. I want him go. We've seen Schwarber.
Can you imagine the swag he would have on for
That's
the
what I'm
home run
saying. I wanna
derby?
see it just
Like
for the
it would
swag
be,
alone.
it would be obnoxious. It would be just the craziest amount of swag you could possibly put on one person.
He would hit with like a Venezuela cape on,
He's done it twice. He's been in the Derby twice.
but not
need
when he's
beasts.
been like this.
Yeah, not when he's.
He would
you know,
have some
top
sort
three.
of cool glasses on. he'd have one of those big hats on the Braves got banned from wearing.
Well, he's definitely not in. He said he wants others to do it, and I think he's just trying to not mess with his mojo. But
he's not being selfless. He just doesn't want to do it. I'll let someone else do it. No.
I see Robert and Soler garnering a good chunk of the vote, and I'm with you too. I'm on Soler. I mean, Soler can hit 500 plus. I think better than any of these dudes.
So can everybody in the home run derby because the balls are.
Juicy. Okay, then maybe he can go 550.
Yeah, but you still need to be a beast. You still need to be a dude that I got Mookie. I got Mookie as the least chance of winning this. You got to be a guy that can swing for I don't think a Rosarena can do it. I think it's going to be guys that can swing for 3 minutes and not get exhausted and still hit the ball over 400 feet.
Yeah, if you have wall scrapers on your resume, then it's not going to happen, okay? Because you get a little tired and you lose 10, 15, 20 feet, and they're not wall scrapers anymore. Second poll question of the day. You can scan the QR code on the screen or watchstadium.com/foul territory. Which team is the favorite in the AL West coming off the Rangers trade? You still got Texas, they're only 4 games up. Houston, Angels, or Seattle if you really want to go for it. And let's preview tonight's matchups. Last minute game time. Okay, so you hit up the Game Time app. You got last minute tickets, and it's at gametime.co if you're online. Best place to get your last minute tickets. I'm giving you the jet right now. AJ, where are you flying tonight?
I'm going to Cleveland. I want to see the Braves we just talked about take on the Guardians. I just had a Guardians game on Saturday. We talked to Terry Francona before the game, and he's like, man, we play the Cubs, and then we get the Braves. And he said, I don't know how it's going to go because the Guardians don't score a lot of runs, and the Braves score a lot of runs. So Terry Francona was very interested. He said he thinks their pitching matches up well with them. But I want to see if the Atlanta offense can continue to do that against a team in the Guardians that can run some starting and some relievers at you.
He was being positive. The Braves are going to run through the Guardians. So I'm going out to San Fran to watch a game in AJ's favorite stadium. It's also my pick, but I haven't seen Wu in real life. I haven't seen him out in the wild. I've only seen him on TV, and this dude punches out the world, and it is going to be an absolute strikeout fest out there. It's going to get cold. It might be a 1-0 win for somebody, but the Giants are winning everything, and the Mariners aren't. So it'd be a 1-0 game, pitcher's fest.
What about Herman?
No, he's gonna be tired.
What do you mean?
He's gonna be tired after his perfect game. You think he's gonna go back-to-back perfect game?
Yeah, he only went 99 pitches. First inning. You're going Yurfie on Herman?
I don't have to choose that today.
Herman, 99 pitches, dude. That's nothing.
So you're saying it was an easy perfect game?
That's an average day's work.
Hey, Burley.
It's a layup for me for AJ. Oakland's an easy day's work.
Oh, there we go. Burley after his perfect game went 6 innings perfect the next start.
Perfect?
Perfect. He set the all-time record for most guys retired in a row. He broke Bobby Jenks' record. It was in our bullpen. And when he knew the exact out, he got him. And he looked at him and I both looked at the bullpen where Bobby Jenks was. And Bobby was so mad because that was the one thing he had was the most consecutive batters retired, and Burley broke it. And we all knew it. And so we were giving Bobby shit, and he just laughed about it later. But it was funny at the time.
Yeah, I think Herman is going to go, oh, crap. Baltimore is better than Oakland. So we'll see what happens. It's going to be.
Hey, ask the White Sox how Oakland is, by the way.
Well, true. I think Baltimore has a lot to prove right now. Too soon. Baltimore against New York. I just think that's going to be a great series. Orioles are kind of playing with house money. We're a little early on our rebuild, and we're a playoff team. Let's shove it to the Yanks while they don't have Judge. I can't wait to see that one. Wells against Herman. And if you've got the Game Time app, then for the first time, if you're buying tickets, you should put in the code FTLive, por favor, $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. We're showing you how to go through the app right now, navigate the app. Boom, there you go. Padres, Dodgers. If you're clicking on that game, you can then see where you are sitting. If you flip around your phone anywhere, you can see where your view is going to be. We love that. And if you're stressed out about finding last minute tickets, it just shouldn't happen anymore. You're probably using the wrong site or the wrong app. This is the right app to use. It's called Game Time. They are our partners for a reason. Flash deals, last minute tickets, easy to find tickets, the views of your seats, the lowest price guarantee. event cancellation protection, job loss protection. It's for the people. And by the way, with the game time guarantee, you'll always get the best price. So if you find tickets in the same section in row for less, like you're doing right now, and you went somewhere else and you found it for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. AKA, it's not happening, okay? Snag the tickets without the stress with Game Time. Download the app, create an account, use code FTLive, $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. That's FTLive for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices, guaranteed. And also running through games tonight, we will give you picks. So does Kratzy really think that Herman is going to give up a run in the first inning, or is he going elsewhere? Stay tuned. We're super hot right now on our picks.
In case you missed it, here's some scenes from around Major League Baseball from yesterday. And now, back to foul territory.
Let's flip the second poll results and get answers while we're looking. So who do you have as the favorite in the AL West? And you're given the 4-game advantage with Texas, AJ, but do you take Texas after them acquiring Chapman, or do you think they'll fade a little bit in the second half and not win the division?
Unless Houston gets really hot and gets some guys back, I still think it's Texas' division to lose.
I think with their lineup, even if Houston does get hot, I just don't think Houston's pitching rotation is deep enough that it will come back. I think it's Rangers.
I got the Astros. I still think this is.
You had the Mariners.
Yeah, but I'm allowed to adjust. Who did you have? You had the Rangers?
I had the Astros.
Okay, so I'm sticking with your pick, even though you aren't.
You're his hero, AJ.
Oh, we know that, Kratz. We know that.
I've got, the Astros and the Mariners are in a similar spot here on the poll. The Rangers are leading the pack, of course, in the 40% range for that one. So thanks for participating. And let's go over our Bet MGM locks for Monday. Quick recap of Friday. Frays went with the run line for the Jays. They got swept by Boston. They're 0-7 against Boston. I'd like to pick on that a little bit more later on. And Kratzy, did I not tell you to tail away? How often am I this confident on picks? I think this is the second time I was so confident. I was like, am I missing something?
It was one of your more confident times, and I was ill prepared, and so you were my guy. You were my Huckleberry. Appreciate
I got you. And McClanahan did leave early. Now he's on the IL with the back issue. I think he'll be okay. But even still, I was just like, it should not be minus 125. The Rays just pounded the Mariners. We're all up. So if you've been following us all year and doing what we're doing, then you are very successful and you owe us some dinner. Your Bet MGM locks for Monday. Pierzynski, you go first.
I have a strikeout prop bet because they've just been so dang hot. Miles Michaelis, the Cardinals. He doesn't strike out a ton of guys, but it was at 4, and I got a little greedy on this one because I could have gone 3 and got better odds. And then Garrett for the Marlins. If you haven't seen this lefty pitch, he gets a lot of punch outs, and I believe the number is 5. So I need 5 from Garrett, 4 from Michaelis, and to change the odds from minus 110 to plus 140. So I went for it, just betting 100, but I figured why not? Let's go for it.
I like that. Five's a little. I know. I was looking at that one too.
Garrett punches dudes out now.
He's had some streaks. Had some streaks. I was just a little nervous of the Cards against lefties. Their strikeout percentage is a little bit lower, so that made me nervous. But I bought it at 4 and 4, so I'm on with you. I bought it at 4 and 4 with you, but I was plus 100 when I did my early research.
You're on the same game, Kratzy?
No. Oh. That was just in life. That was in real life. I'm on the Woo Web game, the one I'm going to watch. And the PJ is going to pick me up. I think I'll make it. No, I won't. But the Woo Web game, I'm getting it at minus 115, and both of them 5+ strikeouts. I also bought this up for Webb's going to be I'm going to be nervous, but both teams are top 3 in strikeouts for the league. And whatever the game is tomorrow, whoever's pitching for tomorrow, I'm probably picking the same game. But I got 5 strikeouts and 5 strikeouts for both of them. I even bought on another one, Woo up to 7 strikeouts because this Giants team just came out of Toronto. They won, but they were striking out double digits against starters. So I'm putting down 345 to win 300.
Ooh, badass. I like it. All right, I'm going just a hundo with my plus 110. Who would have thought at this time of year, Cardinals, Marlins, Michaelis against Garrett, and the Cardinals are plus 110. And I'm looking at it this morning, and I'm like, bring it. So I'll lay down a hundo. The Cardinals look pretty good against the Yanks and Cole. Marlins just got swept. Garrett has solid strikeout to walk, but he gives up a lot of hard contact. You look at like his X-Slug, his XBA, and the Cardinals are a little locked in right now. You're right, Kratzy. I was looking at their numbers against left-handed pitching recently. They're on it. Michaelis better on the road. I'm adding all that up, and I'm like, this should at least be even. So I feel like there's an edge here. I'll go Cardinals money line. They're in desperation mode right now too. So those are your locks. And Bet MGM's swing for the fences is on today. Log into the Bet MGM Sportsbook app on iOS or Android. Play the Bet MGM MLB free-to-play game up until September 7th, 2023. You're a batter. You pick an area of the zone. And depending on the area of the zone you pick, you get a single, double, triple, homer, or a pop-out and receive the prize associated with that type of hit. You can play once a day. Prizing must be used on MLB and expires in 24 hours. Gambling problem or concern? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. That is a very strong, solid hour number 1. Ken Rosenthal is going to lead off hour number 2. We'll flip it over to the Foul Territory YouTube channel, and we'll also talk to Ryan Helsley of the St. Louis Cardinals coming up on a Monday. Remember, no show on Tuesday. We rarely take days off during the weekday, but we will enjoy July 4th. We'll see you for hour number 2 coming up.
I take the weight on my shoulders. I feel the sky come down on me, and I can't hold it much longer. Gotta let go so I can be free. Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Our number 2 FT Live on Foul Territory's YouTube channel. Kratz, Przinski, Braun, Ken Rosenthal joining us in just a minute. I want to start right off the jump here with a little pop off presented by Candy Pop. Yeah, beautiful. That was really well done there. Very smooth. And you turned the right direction too, Kratzy.
Because I knew where it was.
Yes, you did. Presented by Candy Pop. So all-star rosters are out, and I want to elaborate on snubs. Number 1, by far, how do we not have Wander Franco in the all-star game? Now, I'm sure there will be subs and reserves being replaced because maybe they're out, whatever it is, and he'll probably be one of the first people on the outside list that gets in. But the fact that he didn't crack the original roster, and we don't gush over WAR and wins above replacement on the show, but when a dude is second in the AL to Ohtani and he plays an overall game, he's 22 years old, offense, base running, defense, AJ, this is the kind of guy that you want to highlight as a league. I'm not blaming you for him not being on there. I'm just saying, how do we not have a player like this in the All-Star game, at least initially listed? Sure, if everyone stays healthy and none of the position players ditch out, no Wander Franco this year? What else did he need to do?
Nothing. What he needed to do was get picked to the All-Star game. But hey, our boy Whit Merrifield got in there, as we told him last week, so I can't complain that much about it. But listen, Wander Franco, his numbers are crazy. I mean, over 800 OPS, OPS plus 124, 26 stolen bases, plays shortstop, is kind of the leader. I would say, well, I don't know about the leader, but he's one of the leaders of the Rays, which is the best team in the American League. And so to me, the fact that he's not even on it is kind of a travesty, but it'll get fixed because somebody will pull out because they have a sore anal fissure.
Is there ever one that's not sore?
I don't know.
I feel like that's just an automatic, ow.
If you deal with enough of them, maybe it's just not sore. I don't know. You got to look back to understand that joke, but anyway.
I don't understand. I don't know. I don't get it. I think there is, yes, I get the whole WAR thing, but it's definitely nothing about him getting benched or anything like that. To me, maybe he takes over the lead as the most underrated player. I think a guy like him and a guy like, I said Spencer Steer earlier on the National League side, but you have underrated players, but this one's crazy to me because of his value, his on base, and his are we on base, society now? He has 26 stolen bases. Whit only has 18. I'm glad Whit made it though.
Same. Well, there's room for both.
Hold on. You know who will not know the answer to this question? Ken Rosenthal. He will not have it.
Bring him in, AJ. Bring him in because you guys have so much chemistry from the weekend. I watched that whole game waiting for you guys to fight, and there were just no boxing gloves even available at Wrigley.
That's because he was too far down there. He was trying to survive the flood that was happening down there.
Oh, you guys did get some rain delays.
Oh, we got a 3-hour rain delay. And all I had the whole time was Ken in my ear going, I can add. When can I come on camera? We're like, Ken, we're in a rain delay. We got plenty of time.
Scott, let me tell you the truth of what happened in the game. On air, AJ was fine. Nothing insulting or anything like that. Off air, right before I interviewed David Ross, and I will admit to getting on a higher step than David Ross to interview him. That's what I did to get eye to eye. AJ is having a conniption in the booth. Whoa, why'd you move steps? Why aren't you on the right step with him? And then Adam Amin, who was about my size, God bless him, he got in AJ's grill, man. It was great.
He did. What does he call you?
This was all off the air, though.
What does he call you? His short king? He calls you his short king.
He calls us both short kings, yeah.
Yes, exactly. He's like, Ken's my short king. So I understand.
So this was all going on, Scott, and then you know how it is. Welcome back to Wrigley Field, everyone.
Oh, I know how it is. Yeah. Well, hail to the short king then, because we need a little help right now, Ken. So, and I know you talked about all-star rosters a lot on Fair Territory as well, including Tatis. So you can mix it all in here, but just wanted to start with Wander Franco and why the league needs to make sure a player like this is highlighted, even if fans and his peers don't recognize him.
Well, it's not even a question. And in my mind, it's not even a question that he ultimately will be there. The issue was that they took 8 infielders. Now, when I made up my mock all-star team the other day, I had 10 infielders. But ultimately, the league took an extra catcher and an extra outfielder. So you're down to 8. It's really 2 at each position. And the 2 that were elected by both the players and fans at shortstop were Corey Seager and Bo Bichette. That left no place for Wander Franco. Now, Witt, we all love him. He benefited from being at a position where there really wasn't an obvious backup to Marcus Semien. So he gets voted by the players as the backup second baseman. That's great. But to have an all-star game with Wander Franco not there and Whit Merrifield there, that's a little bit odd, as much as we all love Whit. And I think Whit would be the first to admit it.
Ken, do they still do the extra guy fan vote thingy?
No, that is gone. Yeah.
Yeah, because
Why?
why? Yeah, that was my favorite way to get elected to the All-Star game.
I'm not sure. It is a cool. Actually, I liked it too. I don't want to say this 100% because I'm not positive, but I don't think so. I think that's it, guys.
I think so too. I haven't heard anything about it, and it kind of just like went away under the radar where it disappeared. Working for the league for years, we promoted the hell out of it. They were like, "Hey guys, today all we're talking about is that extra vote. Let's get votes," and we'd be like, "Vote, vote, vote." But
maybe
I
it
don't
went
love
away
the
because
system
they have
now.
the 2 phases now. They have 2
Right.
phases of the fan voting, so it's a little bit elongated that way.
Voting fatigue. Go ahead, Kratzy.
No, all I really want to know is, Ken, did you buy AJ his dinner?
Rain delay.
Well, there was no dinner
Rain
because of the rain delay.
So
Yeah, and
there it
also
is. I knew
AJ sauntered into town a little late on Friday night, so he did not join us for dinner.
Oh, I see. So AJ was late for the dinner that you were going to buy him, so now you don't owe him anymore.
Well, truth be told, Eric, I didn't go to the dinner either.
He was too busy interviewing Marcus Stroman for his trade recap.
Which we'll get to. We'll get to. I want to stay on All-Star for a sec, though, because I read the article late last night, and I know you talked about it on Fair Territory. Let's kick it around here for a moment, because you said you love-hate the Tatis situation. Actually, I pulled my favorite part here that I know these guys will like. It is still rare in The Athletic, it is still rare for a player to openly criticize a teammate or rival who is caught using PEDs. But when it comes to Tatis, I can picture players sitting at lockers, filling out their ballots and thinking, fuck this guy. I thought that was a great line.
Well, actually, from being in enough clubhouses over the years, I actually can picture that. And this is a very interesting situation. And it jumped out at me last night when the selections were announced, even more than Wander Franco. Tatis is one of the best players in the game. He is one of the most exciting players in the game. He is almost the definition of what you would want in an all-star game. He is, despite starting the season on April 20th because of his suspension, 6th in the National League in Fangraphs' version of WAR. And like you, Scott, I'm not an all-WAR all the time guy, but that is telling, especially because it's a cumulative metric, and he started late and he's still up among the league leaders. But what stood out to me here was that as much as I would love to see him in the game in many ways, I also love that the players stood up and said, we're not having him. He was suspended. We don't like this. We're going to take, as reserves, Juan Soto, who was having a great year offensively for sure, Lourdes Gurriel Jr., and Nick Castellanos. You can make the case that Castellanos and Tatis are comparable. Castellanos having a great year. Lourdes Gurriel Jr. is not anywhere close to Tatis. I'm sorry. So it seems to me that the players here made a clear choice. And I applaud that choice because you know what? This is their game too. It's not just the fans who vote. It's the players who vote. And what they're saying here is you served your penalty. And that's fine. But we're not going to have you in the All-Star game on our behalf just yet.
Hey, AJ or Kratz, if you were one of the current players in this situation, yep, I already see that. That's part of what we have here with this show. Kratz, you're shaking your head. If Tatis is doing what he's doing and deserves to be there, are you penalizing him? And would that continue, though? Like, does this continue for the players even after this year? Like, is he losing a popularity contest or you're just giving him a one-year punishment? I'm curious.
The question is always, is he still on it? The question is always, is it still like the whole Wander Franco getting benched thing? Like that, I'm not voting against that. Good player, bad player, whatever. If Tatis is on the border, you question, was he on it before? Is he really, as a player, as a clean player, that's what you're always questioning. So how long do you let it go? I'd vote him right away if he was my teammate, but he's not. There's 29 other teams that didn't vote him.
Here's the thing, exactly what Kratz just said. This is the one way that players who are clean can try to affect players who aren't clean. And it sucks because he probably deserves to be there. And he probably will end up getting there anyways because, again, when somebody gets hurt or whatever. But the players have a say in one thing, really, and one thing only, and that's their vote in the All-Star game. So they all stood up and said, no, we don't want him there. And they spoke. And that's a good sign. And, will it change next year? I don't know, but he could also get ringworm again.
Yeah. By the way, well done for popping off. Visit candypop.com, cookiecandypop.com, and enter code foulball for 20% off. And let's keep rolling. What?
Hey, Tatis got popped, so it's perfect.
Yeah, that's why we picked it. Boom. All right, AJ, ask about Stroman. Let's get to Stroman. You guys were both there. What's going on?
Ken, since I wasn't listening during the broadcast on Saturday on Fox, what did you say about Marcus Stroman possibly get traded? Is he going to get traded? Why haven't they extended him? Because for those who didn't tune in on Saturday, Ken, you had a great story about, and I asked you, man, he's basically begging to stay. So why have they not approached this? Why have they not said, man, he's one of the best pitchers in the National League. We need this guy for a long term.
Well, what I reported, AJ, and I'm sorry you weren't listening, but I said that the Cubs are not inclined to sign him to an extension before the trade deadline. And there are a few reasons for that. One, they don't know whether they'll be in contention or not. And if they're not in contention, they'll probably want to trade him. Two, their budget for next year hinges on how they finish this year. So they really don't know what their payroll is going to be in 2024. And three, perhaps most importantly, Marcus Stroman probably has 15 starts left for this season. And who knows what might happen in those 15 starts. Now, granted, if you really were intent on not having him become a free agent, yes, you'd look at this right now, but you'd be taking a risk. There's no question, just as you're taking a risk by letting this play out, right? And having him go to the open market. He wants to stay. He has made that clear, and he understands the team's position. When I talked to him, was not at all rancorous in any way. He basically said, listen, if it gets to that, I want to come back here as a free agent. I want the chance to do that, and hopefully everything will be good. So he's been through this before. He's been traded before. He's been a free agent before. But as we get closer to the deadline, one thing to keep in mind, I'm not sure everyone realizes this, he already has received a qualifying offer. So he cannot get another one. He got one from the Mets a couple of years ago. That means that the Cubs cannot get a draft pick for him if they lose him as a free agent. So if they're going to get anything from Marcus Stroman, it will be at the deadline, and they're going to have to take a hard look at their team and whether they believe their team is capable of an NL Central title. We'll see.
You said it just now as your number 2 point, and you also said it in the telecast. And I wrote it down before so I don't get it wrong. The Cubs' budget will hinge on where they finish this year? What is that?
Right, because, Erik, here's how that works. And don't shoot the messenger. But the Cubs, like all teams, base their payroll on the previous year's revenues. Their revenues will be much higher if they have a great run here and make the playoffs. If they collapse and if they trade off pieces in the second half and attendance falls in the second half, though it's always strong at Wrigley, then that's a different equation. And that's part of what is going on here. And we can all sit here and say the Cubs should just spend, but the Cubs also want to spend wisely. And they also know that the free agent class of starting pitchers for 2023-24 does not solely consist of Marcus Stroman. There'll be plenty of other starting pitchers available. Now, they're not going to sign Ohtani. I don't expect them to sign Urias. But Aaron Nola will be out there. Eduardo Rodriguez likely will opt out and be out there. And there will be others as well that I'm missing right now. So it's not all or nothing here. And clearly, they're going to need to spend to fortify their rotation if he leaves.
No doubt. But here's the thing, Ken. When we talked to David Ross on Saturday, you were in there. What was the breaking news about Shohei Ohtani? He said they needed a they needed a strikeout guy and they needed a left-handed power guy. So I said, "You're trading for Ohtani," and he said,
The breaking news was basically pressured into by AJ. AJ led the witness, and he said, Ross said that they needed a left-handed bat and a left-handed reliever. And sure, they could use a left-handed starter too. And AJ said, well, that means you want Shohei Ohtani. And Ross, what is he going to say? Of course he wants Shohei Ohtani. Every team should want Shohei Ohtani, but he's not getting traded, for one thing. And free agency, we'll see. As I said on the broadcast, hopefully you were listening to this part, AJ, no self-respecting large market team should be out of these sweepstakes. You got to dip your toe in the water, see if he wants to play for you. If he doesn't, fine, nothing lost. But if he has a little glimmer in his eye about playing for your team, it's in Chicago or if it's in New York, wherever, you got to at least explore it.
AJ, they don't want him. You said lefty pitcher. He's
no. Yeah, well, he said a lefty power bat.
Right.
And he said a lefty reliever. But I was like, well, Shohei can get lefties out with his splits.
Right.
Shohei. And he's like, yeah, we might take him also.
Well, here's my question off of that, Ken. We go from a minute ago saying that the Cubs will make decisions based on how much money they make this year, as if they should really be pinching pennies. They shouldn't be an organization like that.
Right.
Then we're talking about Ohtani. And I know there are plenty of Cubs fans that have said, hey, we're a dark horse candidate for him. We could get him, right? Wrigley, it's awesome. Go to Chicago, dominate the division. It's a historic franchise, all of that. How can that be a discussion if the Cubs are worried about finances? The teams that are going to go for Ohtani, and Trout was on with us on Friday and said, hey, listen, it's not going to be all about money because there are going to be plenty of teams that will offer him basically the world on that front. There's going to be more factors. Sure, I get it. But the Cubs need to be able to play up here, like Yankees, you would think maybe Angels, Dodgers for sure, Mets maybe. Are they going to be up here, or are these indications that they're not going to be at those kind of levels, like a top 5 payroll team?
Scott, it's a good question, but I am not linking one with the other. And I know what I said about Stroman, about how the budget will be determined by how they finish, but I almost think that for every team, Ohtani is in a separate category. Because not only is he a great player who will give you incredible performance, but he is a money-making machine all his own, right? You're going to get benefits from merchandise sales, from sponsorships, from all kinds of things that no other player really could give you in the same way. So I understand your point. It's a good point, and it's a fair question to ask. And I don't even know if they'll be in on Ohtani. Maybe they won't. Maybe they're not a self-respecting large market team that should be dipping their toes in the water. But to me, he is a separate entity altogether.
Another team that might throw their hat in because they do with it, any big superstar, although they might want to chill a little bit because it's not working, the San Diego Padres. So another rough weekend, especially yesterday. I mean, you're like, oh, come back. And then they give it up to Tyler Stevenson later on in the game after the Tatis homer. So now they're again in a position where you're looking at them going, I feel like they're going to get going at some point, but it's getting late pretty quickly. So first question on the Padres. Do you think that Juan Soto is capable of being traded for a second consecutive season at the deadline?
I would say no, based on the comments of owner Peter Seidler this weekend to the San Diego Union Tribune. He said, we're not going to reverse course. And he said a number of other things as well, but he presented a very optimistic view of this season as it goes forward. He said, listen, we have half the season to play. I think things are going to be okay. Their playoff odds right now are at about 22%. Here's the Seidler quote. I absolutely love that we have high expectations, and it's incumbent upon myself and our organization to make them higher and higher and higher. That's the kind of baseball I really believe we're going to play in the second half. You can't predict with precision anything. True enough, but that's a much different view than we've heard from Steve Cohen of the Mets, for example. So I don't see the Padres trading Soto. I don't see them taking it apart at all. What I do see them doing, perhaps, is adding. And A.J. Preller, as their general manager, he is good at adding. I don't know that he's so good at roster construction because we've seen this team and it's incredibly flawed in many ways. But I don't expect, as Peter Seidler said, that they're going to change course in any way or shape or fashion.
Well, I'm going to say and present you a trade because you said they're not adding, they're not tearing down. Who says no to a Cronenworth for a Goldie with the salary swap in a trade?
Maybe the Padres say no to that because of the control. Cronenworth has this, I believe, an 8-year deal. I can't remember if it's 7 or 8. And Goldschmidt is a free agent after next season. So Goldschmidt's the better player. There's no question about that. And Cronenworth has really struggled this year. But I don't see actually either team doing it. Because Cronenworth, if you're the Cardinals, he's not a good enough bet right now. You're looking at him and you're wondering, hey, how good is this guy? And Goldschmidt, we all love him. He's one of the best players in the game. He's also going to be 36 next season, 37 the year after that. Now, he keeps himself in incredible condition. If there's one guy I would bet on, it's him. But that said, we would have said that about Max Scherzer. We would have said that about Justin Verlander. They're a little bit older, I get it, and they're pitchers. But as you get into your late 30s, it's less of a good bet, let's face it.
And I'll add here, because I was doing some homework for you while Kratzy threw out that rando trade. So it's 7 years, 80 mil. It starts next year. So yes, It's technically like 7.5 years of team control right now. Cronenworth has an 85 OPS plus this year. He's having a very down year. And I know there are at least some Padres fans who are like, it's been cool to spend, but did we need to extend someone like this right now? Because there were still multiple years of control. Right.
No,
the answer was no. They went off.
They did not have to do that. Yes.
Right. So it actually could be a bad contract. It's not like we have this super long sample size. He's been a good hitter the past few years, a little above average, but he's having a pretty down season. I don't think the Cardinals take on a contract like that right now.
And he's playing first base, which diminishes his value further because he doesn't hit like a first baseman. Never did even when he was going well. So, yeah, I'm with you, Scott. I don't think the Padres would even want to do it, and I certainly don't think the Cardinals would.
But where else are they going to change? They have to make changes, and he was the only guy that I picked out of the hat of the everyday players. Where's the change going to happen?
I don't know that they want to change. If you read the owner's comments, he likes his team. He thinks this team is going to perform better, and whether he's blindly optimistic or prescient on this front, they're going to find out. And I just don't see them doing anything major. Their big free agents are on the pitching side. Blake Snell is one. Josh Hader is another. If they wanted to kind of retool and take some things apart, but they're not going to do that, again, based on what Seiler says. Now, the qualifier is if they go south further in the next month and it just looks that much more bleak, I would imagine they'd have to entertain it, but that is not the mindset of this organization.
Ken, who's more optimistic, Cohen or the Padres owner?
The Padres owner. It's not even close.
Really?
He's acting like the first half didn't even happen.
Well,
and
so
it happened.
Steve Cohen? Oh, I know. Steve Cohen, though.
No, he's not.
Oh, well, I mean, he's
no,
like
Steve Cohen has said, if we have to sell, we will sell. And if I have to pick up money in these deals, I will pick up money. So he, in my view, is being much more realistic than Seiler. Now, it's all words. And at this time of year, there's only so much stock you can put in words anyway. It's actions that matter, especially at this time of year. But at the same time, if you listen to Cohen's news conference last week and what Seiler told the San Diego Union Tribune, two totally different outlooks.
Okay, so Seiler just thinks they're having a bad 3 months.
Essentially, yes, that's what he was saying.
Wow. I mean, I wish I had money to play with like that, and I could look at it and say, we just had a bad 3 months. Don't worry about it. We're under 500. We're in fourth place, and I don't think we're catching the Dodgers, Diamondbacks, or Giants. But we'll just keep spending. Yeah. Sign me up. I'm going to go back and play for him, please.
But AJ, that's what fans want to hear. I mean, fans don't want to sell right now.
No, but fans are also realistic. They don't
unrealistic.
They don't want.
Yes.
No, fans are realistic. They don't buy the bullshit. Most of them. Now, some do because they just want to buy it. But most fans are real. They look at it and say, okay, we're under 500. We're 81, 82, 83 games in. And realistically, we don't have a chance of winning the division because there's too many teams to jump. And nobody, I don't know. I mean, I guess
wild card, though, dude.
Here's the better question. If you're a Padres fan, here's the question I'd be asking. Do I want to trade another top prospect or two to get this team better? Do we keep going here? Do we think that's the wise thing to do?
But what did they go get? Because they were supposed to have a great rotation. They were supposed to have an unbelievable lineup. They have Hader back end, and their bullpen was supposed to be dominant, as we saw it was in the postseason last year against the Dodgers. So what do they need? Because I think it's
bullpen help the bullpen is thin.
Them and every other team.
Sanchez seemingly has solved the catcher position for now, but that's a long-term need for sure. They could use help. They could use another start or two. There's not like guarantees there with any of these guys. Darvish has had injury issues of late. There's always ways to get better, AJ. You know that. But it seems to me, and the feeling around the industry is when you go this far, as the Padres have, when you're this all in, you have no choice but to keep going. And that's a really dangerous place to be because they've essentially stripped the system already. They've got more guys coming, and they can always trade someone else. Jackson Merrill is the next in line. But that is again, dangerous game to play because ultimately you're going to need some young players, and most of their best young players, we're seeing them in Washington right now.
Well, who would you rather be then? Okay, the Padres, who are all the way committed, right? Or a team like, let's use the Cubs, who we just saw this weekend, that are kind of in that middle area where are we competing? Are we rebuilding? What are we doing? What's the next step? So which team would you rather be?
If I'm a fan, going into the season, the Padres, right? But look at the way it's played out. For whatever reason there, it's not working. Or at least it has not worked to this point. The Cubs, it's not really working there either. They've been kind of an up and down, mediocre team, but they have some young players coming. They've developed some. Justin Steele's an all-star, homegrown guy. There is something to what they're doing. It's a logical progression. Now, you want them to spend more money, but they're starting to. Stroman the 1 year, Dansby Swanson this year, Seiya Suzuki, they've added some pieces. They signed Happ and Horner to extensions. It's not totally blank there. And granted, they do need, as we discussed on the broadcast, another big bat. Their top guy in OPS outside of Morel, who hasn't qualified, is Ian Happ, and he ranks something like 68th in OPS in the majors. So, sure, they are not all the way there, but the problem with the Padres is if they don't win now with Soto or the next couple of years, Soto has one more year left after this one, all their players are getting older. Tatis, granted, will be moving into his prime, but I'm talking about Bogarts and Machado. This might be it, folks, right? Blake Snell's a free agent. Josh Hader's a free agent. You can sign all these guys? I'm not so sure that's going to work out for them.
Yeah. No, some of those moves we talked about, Cronenworth, like Darvish, gave him a lot of years at his age, away from free agency. Those were the ones that were interesting to me versus versus Machado and trading for Soto. So let's finish with this to tie it right into the Mets because you wrote about them last week. I loved seeing, hey, where's Verlander going? Where's Scherzer going? I mean, they have the same record as the Padres, 38 and 46. Both of those teams are 8 games back. And you've said this all year on this show and on Fair Territory. And we talk Cardinals, Padres, Mets, probably more than any other teams right now around the trade deadline. Those 3 teams, maybe one in my mind at this point, makes the playoffs. So on the Mets side of things, can you run through your thought process when you were putting that article together on how realistic it is that some of those stars could be dealt? And this could be great for the Mets to build their farm system if they're really not going to make the playoffs this year because they need help there too.
It's complicated. And the Mets don't have great potential free agents like the Padres do, or even the Cardinals. Jordan Montgomery and Hicks and Flaherty, they're not great, but they'll bring you something if you indeed decide to trade them. The Mets' potential free agent list is not at that level. Most of their guys are signed. Where this gets interesting is if they are indeed willing to trade Scherzer and or Verlander, but that is where it gets complicated too. Both of those guys, full no-trade clauses. So what that means is they can effectively direct where they want to go. Scherzer did that when he was traded from the Nationals to the Dodgers. He basically picked off teams and ultimately decided he wanted to be a Dodger. He became a Dodger. With those guys, that's only one complicating factor. Scherzer also has an opt-out after this year. What if he doesn't take the opt-out? Who pays for that year? Verlander has a conditional player option for 2025. If he throws 140 innings next year and is healthy, he can exercise his option for 25. That's more money. Who, again, takes care of all this? And I talked to a GM this weekend who thought, well, Cohen can pay down the salaries this year, but beyond that, he's not going to do it. I don't know. I don't know what he's thinking, and he has said he considers that money already spent, so he's willing to do some things to effectively buy prospects. They could shake up the deadline. I'm not sure they're going to. David Robertson is the one potential free agent. I should mention him. But they're going to try to get back in contention too. They won 2 or 3 just now from the Giants. Nothing great there. It's a nice series win, but for them, it's like a monumental achievement the way they've been playing. Let's see where they are in 2 weeks. Let's see where they are in 3 weeks and right up to the deadline, because a lot of these decisions are going to go right down to the end.
Yep. And for a trade deadline that looks like is a little thin on starting pitching, start throwing out Scherzer's name and maybe even Verlander. It'd be wild. That would make it from what some are calling like maybe a little more of a boring trade deadline to a super lit trade deadline. So
it's never boring, Scott. I've never believed it would be boring the whole time. Things happen, and the GMs in general, the clubs, they don't sit still. They're always trying. They're always thinking of doing things, and we might not see Juan Soto get traded, somebody at that level, but if we see a Scherzer go again, that's pretty interesting right there.
Oh, hell yeah. Going into the season, no one would have saw that. So, Ken, thank you. Enjoy your holiday. We'll talk to you later in the week.
Okay, you guys too. Thanks.
Appreciate you. And, hey, check out Fair Territory. It is live.
Thanks, Claudia.
On YouTube and on Spotify and on Apple. There you go. Every single Monday. Ken hustling on a Monday right before the holiday. Check it out. It includes the Braves domination, all-star snubs. The Tatis conversation continues with Ken. Also, Grillin' Ken includes some questions about Farhan Zaidi and the job that he's done with the Giants. Only one all-star, yet the Giants are right in the thick of the playoff race. So a lot to check out there on Fair Territory. Nice, tidy little 30 minutes for you on everything you need to know around baseball from Ken. Coming up soon, we'll have Ryan Helsley from the St. Louis Cardinals. Let's go in the weeds right now. Nice.
Favorite graphic.
Yes, agreed. It's perfect. It's got like Disney Channel Nickelodeon vibes, right? A little bit.
I like the hot corner one too because it's on fire, but
True.
I love the weeds.
Yeah, in the weeds. So stories that we just don't want to get lost in the mix. What?
No,
A lot of faces from
just
AJ.
just keep going.
It's bright sun in his face.
Yeah.
Anyway, I wanted to make sure I got to this because probably the most surprising part of my weekend of watching games was Toronto just shitting the bed again against Boston. How can you be 0-7 against the Red Sox right now and 7-20 against the division? I do think when you watch this team, they're pretty good.
Not in the AL East, they're not.
Against the rest of the league, AJ. When you watch them against Boston, like especially the game yesterday on Sunday, I mean, definitely had a chance. They let them tie the game up on the Verdugo hit that, or not a hit, they get an out, and then Vladdy tries to get another out, throws the ball away, Turner scores. Boom, we're tied. And then a couple innings later, Verdugo's like, hold up, when's the last time I homered? 2 months ago against this team? All right, I'm going to hit a dinger and have an epic bat flip, take a 5-4 lead, first pitch off Jordan Romano, just sunk them. I mean, Kratzy, I was shocked just seeing this team continue to fall to a Boston team they're very average, and they'd be in first place in the AL Central, but you've got to be better against your division.
Oh, my goodness. Absolutely. And they have not been because they don't have anybody that's going to go out there and close out the games. I see, not saying Romano's not closing out the games. I'm saying as a team, they just don't put the final stamp on it. Like it just seemed like when they brought Romano in, it was like, this just isn't, I don't know, it was a tie ball game. They were sitting there like, before I even like formulated my own thought, dinger, Verdugo. And it was like, you could just see they don't have somebody that they don't have the opportunity or the ability in the lineup to like pull away from teams consistently. And so they just kind of hang around that 500 mark.
Is that a player thing? Is that a leadership thing? Because remember, they fired Montoya last year and brought in Schneider, and they got better. And now Schneider's been there all year, and they're kind of around the same spot. So do they need a player? They mixed up some players. They got rid of Teoscar, brought in Kiermaier, but you still have Vlad, you still have Bo Bichette, you still have a lot of the same dudes. What cures that is the bigger question. I think you can also look at another team we just talked about, the Padres. Is it leadership? Is it Bob Melvin? Is it AJ Preller? Is it Tatis and Machado? Is it Soto? These teams that are kind of struggling, is it manager? Is it front office? Is it players? And that's what's so hard to figure out about baseball is you can put these teams together and think it's going to work until it doesn't work.
I feel like both are underachieving, Padres and Blue Jays, because of the players. I feel like the management, I feel like manager, I feel like the front office, they've done the right things. I just feel like maybe the Blue Jays front office, kind of how it is. But the players, I think both teams have superstars. Both teams have superstars that you see doing kind of the same thing, like Bichette 2 nights in a row against the Red Sox getting thrown out on the bases. Or maybe no, Bichette was maybe the last series. But in a big spot, he got thrown out of second, and then you see Vladdy if you watch the replay, I don't think he threw the ball away. I think Bichette was getting there late to third base. You need to have that guy that steps up to be the leader. And I agree that both teams are kind of in the same boat. Obviously, the Jays are playing better, but, man, against the division, they are playing brutal.
And yet, with all that being said, they're a game and a half out of a wild card. So just keep that in mind, too. That's the thing that's surprising. Like, we're talking Mets and Padres. They're 8 games away from a wild card spot with a ton of teams in front of them. Toronto's right there behind the Yanks, Astros, and Orioles. It's just that in the AL, you're going to have 1 or 2 teams where you look up and go, damn, they were pretty good, and they're going to miss the playoffs. It's just going to happen. So we'll see. I still think they make a run, Toronto. We're ready for our next guest. It is Ryan Helsley from the St. Louis Cardinals joining us on FT Live. How you doing? Good to see you again.
What's up, y'all? I'm doing good. How are y'all?
We're good. Remember, last time we spoke, right after Go ahead, AJ.
We got as Todd Frazier.
We got a problem. Know.
We got a problem, dude. I asked you why you didn't pitch. You went on the IL 32 seconds after you came off. After I asked you that, and you didn't even give us a clue.
I knew I was going on, and you hadn't asked about anything like that before. I was like, surely they're not going to ask about that today, And it's just kind of a perfect storm. And I didn't want to leak the news on here, and then I get a text from the manager of the front office and be like, why are you telling people you're hurt already? Wait till we release it. So, but it was literally as we were on the podcast, I think they released it.
What was the
timing?
They
released it. See, perfect. Yeah.
That's the thing. Were they watching us and they were like, he's off, and boom, send email.
They had to.
Well, okay. So how you feeling though? First off, with all of that, where to come about and what's the timetable for getting back on the field?
Yeah, I'm feeling good. I've been throwing the last couple of days, real light to 60 feet. I took about 3 weeks no throws, so it's going to be about 3 weeks of building up, and then a week to 10 days of bullpens and a week to 10 days of games. So still looking at a little bit of time, but I'm feeling good, so that's encouraging.
Wait, are you in Skipper's office? Where are you right now? Because you're in Miami.
No, I'm in our mental skills coach office right now.
Okay, so forget the baseball stuff. You're on the IL. You're in Miami. South Beach, golf.
No,
beach?
I didn't make the trip. I didn't make the trip.
No, he's not there.
Oh, he's not. Oh, he's not there. Okay, that's why I was confused.
Yeah.
Okay, I was like, if you're in Miami on the IL, that means South Beach is in play. The golf course is in play.
No, not golf.
Oh, true. The beach is in play. There's a lot of things you can do in Miami on the IL.
I missed some good trips. I missed London and Miami, so it's a tough IL stint.
Yeah, you could have timed it better. If you just would have told us, we would have timed it better for you.
I know. I need to last about 2 more weeks.
Yeah, if you didn't get to go, what did the guy say about London? Because last time we asked you, we said, are you looking forward to London? What did the guy say?
Yeah, well, I thought I might go still, but the kind of mixed reviews, like travel was not great, and they said the traffic was, kind of crazy. But I think everybody enjoyed the time, getting to see, that part of the world for the first time and just getting to experience, all the new things and stuff. And they said the games were, a lot of fun. The atmosphere was great, and the fans, were very in tune to the game.
So if you would have gone on the IL, would you have enjoyed it more? Would you have been like, hey, you guys got a game, I'll be there at some point? Or would you have felt guilty and been like, no, I got to get treatment early?
Yeah, I think that was kind of why I stayed behind. The travel was so hectic, and it's a 7-8 hour flight, and then they said it took an hour to get to the hotel or in the field back and forth. So I think it just made more sense for me to stay here and stay out everybody's way.
What did the players say about the fans out there in London? I heard that it was still mostly like Cardinals fans traveling out there, Cubs fans traveling out there versus actually trying to impact the city and get them more into baseball. It just sounds like we have, as a sport, a lot of work to do versus many other countries where the game's super popular, of course. London, it's not like you have tons of kids playing baseball. They're always trying to compare it to cricket. So I was trying to get a pulse from people that were there. I was like, did you feel like there were a lot of people from London? It's usually not hard to tell the difference because they speak with a different accent. But did the guys say anything about that as far as the crowd and the people around them?
I mean, they said it was packed. There was like 55,000. They said the energy was great. I think there were a lot of fans that traveled. I think it was a great excuse for a lot of fans, to travel abroad and get to watch baseball and see their two favorite teams play. I think the league could do better, because the travel is so tough that, maybe we play in another city over there somewhere, maybe not London, but, somewhere, in Europe and make it a little more worth your while type trip because that travel is hard on your bodies, especially when, guys are 80 games deep and then you get back and from a 10-hour flight and you got to wake up and play 2 days later. So, but I think it's great for the game. I think it's a good idea, and I think it's going to bode well for the game.
Now that London's over and you're on the IL, is that why you're trying to grow a little mustache there?
Yeah, you see that? That's all I got, dude. That's like 2 weeks. I can't grow any facial hair.
Is that because you're on the IL and you're bored? You just don't have anything to do, so you're like, you know what? My wife is going to hate if I grow this mustache.
Yeah,
so I'm going to just do it anyways.
Everybody hates it here. They're telling me to shave it every day, but I got that 2 or 3 other guys on the IL with me to grow one out too. So we got the mustache crew going.
Are you bored yet on the IL? Are you losing your mind? I mean, what do you do all day? Because you have no game to go to, right?
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, the silver lining of it all is I'm getting to spend more time with my family, like my wife and my little daughter. So that's been fun getting to see her, crawl around the house and, kind of grow into herself a little bit. And she's starting to try to walk and stuff like that. So getting to see some, milestones and getting to spend a little more time, with them where otherwise I wouldn't.
So are you a jerk on the IL? Are you a better dad? Or are you like, this is so nice and relaxing. I know I can't do anything about it. I'm relaxed. I'm getting my work in.
No, I've helped out quite a bit around the house. I feel like I've done a pretty good job. I feel like I'm doing dad mode pretty good right now, trying to help alleviate some of the stuff to help the wife out, help with bottles and making food and all that other stuff. And, splitting the duties a little more, though I'm home now a little more.
Hey, when you guys just played the Yankees, were you sitting in the bullpen or were you sitting in the dugout?
I did both. I kind of moved back and forth, just kind of depending on what I had going on.
Were you out there talking shit to Bader? You could sit in right field with the Cardinals bullpen and you could yell right at him, or if you're in the dugout when he comes up to hit, he'd punch out and you'd be like, see, that's why we traded your ass. You suck.
No, I think everybody over here loved him. They had some fun banter with him there in the ninth yesterday when Hicks faced him, and he got the strike called on him. I think Kisner was distracting him, and he was late looking at the pitcher, so he got banged for a strike call in the ninth. I don't think he was too happy about that, which is pretty funny. But it was fun to play him. We miss him over here in St. Louis. Obviously, he's a great player, and it's exciting for him to be there in New York.
When you're watching this team from afar now for this series against Miami, how do you watch? Like making sure you're like on time, game starting, got a little snack? Do you yell at the TV if you get a bad call for one of your boys?
Yeah, always. You're always yelling at the TV. It's just kind of second nature. I feel like it's hard. It's hard to watch the games, honestly. It's fun when they're in town. You get to be a part of the team, but it's kind of hard seeing it on the road. You're not there hanging out with the guys and competing with them, and but also it gives you something to do because you have so much time. It gives you something to look forward to in the later part of your day.
Do you watch the entire game? You have to be honest because you weren't honest with the whole IL stint here last time. Do you watch the whole game, or are you like, I'll just wait till the bullpen guys come in?
Yeah, I usually do. I usually watch the whole game, unless I got something going on or I'm not home, obviously. But yeah, I'm usually tuned in to the start. Yeah, I'm usually locked in majority of the time if I'm home.
Well, listen, it's hard to watch because I remember being on the IL. I was in Texas and we were facing Verlander, and I was in Frisco, which is like 30 minutes up the street. And I was in a bar with the Double-A team, and we were watching Verlander. I was like, "Oh yeah, we need a hitter." So it sucks being on the IL. They won't let you travel? Is that like a Cardinals thing, or is that a personal thing? Because a lot of teams, some teams say, I was on teams where they would say, "Okay, you have to go to our spring training site to rehab," and some teams say you can travel if you want to, and then some teams would say you got to stay in the home city. So is that a Cardinals thing or is that a personal choice?
Yeah, I guess it's kind of a mix. I think they'd probably let me travel if I pushed hard enough with it. Judge was here this series and was here in St. Louis with the Yankees, so obviously they let him travel. But I think they'd let you do whatever you want. They'd let me go to Florida if I wanted to, but I'd rather be here, in St. Louis with the team, especially when they're here at home. I think I'd go insane if I was in Florida right now. So it's kind of nice to stay here in St. Louis and be around, the team when they're home.
That's fair. Ryan, take me through what you're seeing then. I want your analysis on the ball club. A nice dub yesterday against Garrett Cole, and also figured, Jordan Montgomery against his squad when they kind of blitzed him last year with the trade. I'm like, dude's going to pitch up. And I saw afterward, like Cole sent him a little like tip of the cap text with a meme, something like that. So what did you think of them from the weekend set? And do you feel like there's a turnaround here where the team can make a run? Half the season left to go. Fortunate that in the NL Central, nobody is going nuts. The Braves aren't in the NL Central right now. We'll put it that way.
Yeah. I think I've played some great ball over the weekend. We could have won, 4-6. Obviously lost a heartbreaker there to Houston, but I feel like we're starting to play better ball. Monty pitched a great game. He's a stud. We're glad he's on our team, and to take a win away from Garrett Cole and the Yankees, that's always a big time win, and hopefully that gives us some confidence. If we can beat a guy like him, we can probably do pretty well against most of the pitchers in the league, and hopefully it gets our offense going a little bit, and kind of feeds into the rest of the team. I think the rest of the year, I think we can keep going. Our team's really good. We've always said since the beginning of the year we like our roster. We like the guys who we have. We have a few guys banged up right now, obviously, but I think we're more than capable of turning it around. Baseball's a crazy game. You never know. You just got to show up and be ready to play every day, and hopefully we can rattle off a few in a row.
What have coaches and or front office staff said about the team defensively? Because they were so damn good last year on that front. It's mostly the same guys. So I'm looking. For example, Nolan. He's going to be better in the second half defensively to his standards. He's talked about it. So what have you seen from the team from a defensive standpoint? Is there anything that you can do there? I'm wondering, the team went from not shifting much, then they definitely did, especially when Schilt left, and now you have restrictions. If that kind of messed with anything, and you have some guys playing in different positions, like Edman in the outfield a lot.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I feel like a lot of the alignments and stuff probably come, from up top or, all the analytics club. I'm not really sure, how that works. I'm not a position player. Most of those guys are more in tune with all that stuff and where they get their information from. But I don't think it helps when you lose Bader. He was with us for 100 games last year, so that's going to weigh a lot to our defensive metrics. And, O'Neal's been hurt most of the year too, who's won 2 Gold Gloves. So having those 2 outfielders is going to kind of probably skew the numbers a little bit and not have them up as much. And having Tommy in center field, he's great out there, man. He can play anywhere you put him. He could probably catch if you wanted him to. It seems like anywhere you put him, he makes plays, and he's going to play, all 27 outs as hard as he can. And, you got Donnie who does the same thing. I think, like you said, I think the second half it's going to shift and kind of equal out a little bit better.
Okay, so I'm going to read you. We got to do this. We have you on all the time. So you can just tell me your experience, even if you don't know the whole story here. Michael K. said, I found out something. I was talking to a lot of Cardinal people. The reason they took Contreras out from behind the plate, he was calling pitchers the pitcher on the mound didn't have. He would be calling for a cutter for a pitcher that didn't throw a cutter. The pitchers were going crazy.
I think we have one guy in the bullpen who he'll call pitches like that for him sometimes. He doesn't really throw a changeup, and he'll call a changeup sometimes. But he's been throwing it more, so maybe it is good that he's been calling it. But early on, it's tough, right? You come to a new team and you got, 15 guys you got to learn and all their pitches and how they work and what they like to throw in certain counts. It's definitely tough, and the guy really cares a lot. He's always studying film and trying to have a two-way street, a conversation with each pitcher, because he wants us to be out there comfortable, with him, and he wants to be out there. He wants to win. He wants to be a leader for this team.
So does that mean you now have a changeup that you don't throw, that you have did that ever happen before this year? Had you ever seen something like that happen before?
No, you got Yachty, who's arguably one of the best catchers ever, and you can't even explain the type of presence, that guy had on the field unless you like experienced it, or understand the game really. And just like pitching with him is like just so calming out there, as calming as it can be. This guy's seen every type of hitter, and whatever pitch he calls, he has that belief in you out there on the mound. And you're like, all right, this guy's a legend. He's calling this pitch for me in this count. He believes in it. He believes in my stuff. So that kind of having him back there really, I think, helped a lot of pitching staffs. And, we leaned on him a lot, obviously, and, who wouldn't, rightfully so. He managed the games and was always, talking to guys all over the field. He'd be talking to the first baseman and third baseman on certain pitches. I know Bader always talked about they had signs that he would give to him in center field on where to play, and then, they would relay to other guys in the outfield. So, that guy was doing it all, and, he was really controlling, all 9 guys and controlling the game. And it's just crazy to see him look back on and understand, how good he was, mentally as well. And, but yeah, I have a changeup though. I do throw it every now and then. I haven't thrown one this year. I threw like 6 last year, but I keep it in my back pocket in case they ever call it or ask me to start one day.
Ryan, I so want that story to not be true about Contreras, because not only is he your catcher and he was there all spring training, but he played in the division and faced all you guys. So to me, that hurts my heart as a former catcher, because one thing as a former catcher you took pride in is knowing what your guys threw. Like, I wouldn't catch you and say, man, Ryan, he said he has a changeup, so we're 3-2 in the 9th facing Shohei Ohtani. We're gonna throw a changeup right here.
Yeah.
Like that would be bad on me. So I hope and pray that story is not true, because that just hurts me inside as a former catcher. And if it is true, I hope somebody took him out in the back. Well, I guess the Cardinals did it as an organization. We're like, hey, you're not catching anymore until you learn that Ryan Helsley doesn't throw a changeup. Not saying it was you, obviously, but
Right.
Gosh, he obviously fixed it. So that I guess that's a step in the right direction. But gosh, it just hurts my heart.
Yeah. I don't know how Chicago did it. Maybe they were giving him signs from the dugout, so maybe, he didn't have to call pitches then, or maybe, a lot of guys call their own pitches, swipe up as a pitch from some, or swipe down, or my swipe on my leg, whatever, So I don't know how Chicago did it, but I think he's definitely, learning and understanding, how a lot of guys want to pitch here, and, having Waino, who pitched with Yachty for 17, 18 years, has, helped a lot. I think Waino's feeding into him a lot and helping him grow, and he wants to get better. He wants to be the best. The guy's obviously super talented. He's won a World Series, and he's been an All-Star, so he's definitely capable for sure.
How's Waino doing? I know he's struggled on the mound and had the injury to start the season. He pitched in the WBC. We have had him on the show. AJ's tight with him. Beloved in the sport. At the same time, and we called this out last week, he shut his Twitter down, and maybe that's for him to focus, but also, the trolls are just going off, and it's like, that's the last dude that should take any blame for what he has put together for a couple decades. And it's not like, and he'd be the first person to tell you, it's not like, oh, I'm the number 1 starter on this team, right? He's going through it a little bit right now. So what have you observed from him? He's going through his last season, but he also knows how much adversity he's dealing with, both on the mound and with the ball club.
Yeah, obviously he's not the same pitcher he was, 10 years ago, or even, a couple years ago. So, it's cool to see him wanting to learn, almost like a rookie again, talking to other guys, and, just how certain stuff works or certain mindsets. It's cool to see a guy who's, probably borderline Hall of Famer, for sure, Cardinals Hall of Famer, just wanting to learn every day, still wanting to get better, whether that's using TrackMan, or trying to develop a new pitch, or tweak a pitch, or whatever it is. He obviously cares. He wants to compete in this franchise, and this team, and this city means the world to him. He's raised his family here, and he wants to leave out on a good note. So I don't think there's anybody in the world that could doubt or question his heart, or his will, or wanting to be the best he can be out there. It's obviously tough, and this game is not easy by any means at all. But just to see him go out there, I believe in him every day. He steps out there on the mound. He's got the right mindset and wants to compete. And he's going to do the best he can, as long as he's got the ball in his hand. He's got that mindset of, I'm trying to go 9 every time until you take the ball away from me. So, and I think that mindset feeds into, the other guys as well, even if, like you said, Waino's not our best pitcher right now, and obviously going through it. But, I think he's got the ability and definitely the mindset to turn it around and kind of help us the second half.
Who do you feel like you've learned more from, Waino or Yachty?
Probably Wayno. I mean, I think Wayno's probably learned a lot from Yachty too, though, so you could probably say a combination of the two. But, Wayno on the field, you learn so much, and off the field too, just as a human being, as a father, as a dad, just, picking his brain about everything throughout, all walks of life, obviously. And, just having him on our team is great for our team and, where we want to be and where we want to go. And I think, his positive mindset kind of is contagious. And, you never know he has a bad day. He shows up, he's the same guy every day, whether he's 7 shutty or didn't get out of the first, and I think, in this game, it's hard to not let your results affect you. And I think he does a great job of that and, showing up ready to work the next day no matter what.
Hey, when you go out on your rehab assignment eventually here in the next few weeks, maybe a month, whatever it is away, what are you going to get the boys for spread? What are you going to get the guys in the bushes for spread? Like, you got to do something decent. You're not just on a minor league deal now.
Right. I don't know. I haven't thought about that. I guess it depends on what city you're in, or if I go to AA or AAA or where they send me. So I might have to do some recon in the cities coming up, and talk to the club and get the guys something exciting and good.
Ryan, I've got a guy for you who can help you with that. Show everyone. He's played everywhere. Whatever city it is, just hit up Kratz and he'll be like, "Yeah, I got a guy at the Outback." Is Johnny from Outback?
Outback, no, bro, no, Outback.
No,
I'm saying if he's in Bumblefuck and there's no other place.
There's always a place.
Okay, but what's the place in Bumblefuck? Like, what's the top place in the most rando city? You know what I'm saying? Like,
just
there's some cities.
Buffalo. Like Buffalo, there's some epic places.
I know. You got to go way more random than that.
Where's AA for the Cardinals?
Yeah, where's AA?
Tulsa? No.
Springfield.
Okay. What the hell do they have in Springfield?
Honestly, I don't remember. I was there 6 years ago, so I don't really remember.
And AAA is Memphis, right? So if you go to Memphis, you got to get
Memphis.
barbecue.
You're good, but
Memphis
double
barbecue, no doubt.
Kratz,
epic ribs.
Kratz,
Yeah.
Springfield. What are we doing?
Never played in that league.
Then it's not real. All right,
It's not a real league.
It's not real. If Kratz doesn't play
I played in the Eastern League.
All right,
me too.
We'll do some homework then, Ryan. For the next time you come back on, might be perfect timing. We'll start planning some Springfield hotspots for you in case you end up there. Memphis, you don't need any help. There's plenty.
Pre-game
Memphis
and post-game.
Yes.
Pre-game and post-game.
Mm-hmm.
Ryan, next time you come on, make sure you have breaking news for us, okay? About your situation, so we don't have to find out through someone else. Thank you.
It's not up to him, AJ. They're gonna wait on the press release.
Okay. Well, he could have said I have breaking news, but you guys will find out as soon as I finish his hit.
For his broadcasting career. What a teaser.
Yeah.
Ryan Helsley reporting breaking news after this.
Yes.
Ryan, we appreciate you, dude. Keep doing your thing. Get back on that field soon. We'll talk to you in a few weeks. All right, bud?
Appreciate you guys. Sounds good. I'll see y'all soon.
Thank you. See you soon, Ryan. Ryan Helsley from the St. Louis Cardinals with us on FT Live. And we're going to hit some slap hands for you. We got a few minutes left to go.
He missed out, man. I'm sorry. He missed out. He missed London. Think of how epic it was.
I know. It sucks.
London, Miami.
I know.
Oh, man. They're going to Chicago after Miami. Oh.
That stuff's all fine. Yeah. The London part for him to be able to explore that. Although he did say, the travel and it sounded like some guys liked it, some guys didn't. You're right.
If you're jet lagged on the island, they stayed at some pimp place out there in London. It wasn't like they were staying at some crappy hotel.
That's why I was an hour away.
They were
nice. A lot.
Yeah.
Staying at the pimp hotel.
Yeah.
I don't think that's in the players
it was.
CBA. I don't think it's in the CBA. All hotels must be pimp hotels.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are, because they ain't staying at no Days Inn with the outside air conditioner that's outside the door, and you got to walk over to the window and push the buttons by the window. They're staying with place with central AC.
Well, can I get 30 seconds each from you, and then we'll do a 2-minute slap hands on that Contreras story, just because we didn't have time to slice it up, and I wanted to wait for him to kind of get more word. But Kratz, you start. You see or hear a story like that from Michael Kay, who's been around the game for a long time. He knows Cardinal people, I'm sure, as we all have been around people in the game. Definitely got that. Like, he's not throwing that out there randomly. That's way too random of a story. We get that confirmation. For Wilson, he stays with the ball club in spring training. You're working on that. How much of a problem is it that he is calling pitches for dudes that don't exist? And could there be that he's overwhelmed by learning a new staff?
It could be both, but I'll answer the first part of it. That is a huge problem. If this is true, and that's why I didn't, really know, it's what he said. I'd have to find more out about it. If this is true, that is a tough 5-year deal that you signed for your catcher, because that should be your number one goal. And if you didn't do it before, I could care less. We paid you to play here 5 years, $82 million. You need to know what your pitches throw. Every single one of those pitchers needs to be in your back pocket. And if this is true, yes, it's a big deal.
Yeah, it's crazy. I know AJ already talked about it. So.
I said it. Here's my question. I played for the Cardinals in 2014. I was signed by them out of people know the story. I signed from them. I was in Cooperstown at Frank Thomas's induction. Signed for them, flew to Chicago from Cooperstown, landed the day before, didn't speak to anybody in the organization the day before, went to the ballpark for a day game at Wrigley the next day, caught Shelby Miller, Adam Wainwright, knew nothing basically about them, but I learned them quick. So you can learn, if you try, you can learn pitchers, I feel like, fairly quick. I know there's intricacies and little nuances that everyone has that you need to learn. But, he had all spring training. Remember, he didn't go to WBC because of this. He didn't do some things. So, gosh, this is just, like I said, it hurts my heart inside, because this is just like job number one as a catcher, to at least know what your dudes throw.
And Helsley pointed at it a little bit. He said it real quick in passing. He goes, well, unless the Cubs called the pitches for him, which in 2018, I know they did, because we caught them doing it from the dugout. And one of the reasons that we started hitting the Cubs a little bit better, because I'm not sure even what role he was. I can still see what the guy looks like, but he was calling them from the dugout. Well, that's pretty easy. And it wasn't every pitch. It was like, big situations. He'd look over, and then that's easy. You know what pitch is coming.
Jamie Quirk did that for the Royals, too. We caught him. Jamie Quirk for the Royals from the dugout would call the pitches.
And then you're just picking off signs?
Yeah, you just have your third base coach look over there, because he was in the first base dugout in Kansas City. And he would be over the dugout, and he'd have his hands, and he'd just go.
Yep. Joe Kerrigan did this. He would have his pitching papers like this, and he'd go, change up, fastball. Oh, and teams were just teeing off on the Pirates. Teeing off on them.
Do you know what's going to happen is you're going to get to the GM meetings in the offseason. They're going to, any new rules, anything anyone should do? And the Cardinals, like Mozeliak's going to go, yeah, actually, I feel like we should have that whole pitch comm thing in the dugout too, where we press the buttons, right? For the next 4 years at least.
No.
Cool?
No.
All in favor?
Awful.
They'd be like, nah.
Awful idea. Awful idea.
But it'd be great for the Cardinals. I think the Cardinals are definitely on board.
No, they'd have Yachty sitting there watching the game, calling the pitch comm from like wherever he's living right now.
Just a video game.
That's your answer. You need Yachty. Let's slap him, baby. I'll start. AJ, you go last. I want to cue Alek Manoah's line, because I do think that's worth pointing out. Why are you shaking your head?
Dude, it's double A. It doesn't matter.
I know, but we showed his line from the other day. I just want to say, like,
that one didn't matter either.
I understand. I'm just saying, stay on track. It does matter, because guess what? If he was terrible in this start, don't you start to get a little concerned? Where you're like, like if he went 1 2/3 and gave up 8 runs, no, you don't care. This isn't spring training. Like
when he pitches against the Red Sox or against the AL East, get back to me and let me know how he does. That's what I need to see.
Yeah, but you've already seen that. It does matter. You got to see a guy throwing. There's things you got to see, and I think the stats do matter. I disagree.
Okay.
Can we show the line? Do we have it? There it is. 5 innings, 3 hits, 1 run, 3 walks, 10 Ks, most Ks in a game for the since 2021.
Again,
October
it's
2nd.
double A.
I know.
Whoa, most starts. I mean, we're getting a little ahead of ourselves here. It's double A.
I'm rooting for him because I like him.
We all are rooting for him. I'm not saying I'm not rooting
for him. I know what you're talking about. It doesn't mean shit. I get it.
I mean, guys go on rehab starts and they're working on certain things. He still walked 3 dudes in 5 innings. It wasn't like he was 0 walks in 10 punches. He still walked 3 dudes in Double-A. And he was getting every call because I've caught dudes on minor league rehabs. Guess what the umpires give them? Every freaking pitch because they want the guy on the mound to say, hey, man, I had this umpire. He was freaking awesome, man.
No, they want to be seen on ESPN and on other highlight reels of, Alek Manoah, check out my, I'm really ripping the chainsaw up here in New Hampshire. No, I agree with AJ on the fact that the strikeouts and the walks are 2 completely different things. I could care less if he strikes everybody out and it's the most strikeouts he's ever had, but 3 walks, you can't have 3 walks. That's it. There's no you're coming back because your walks, everything gets blown up and your strikeouts go less and less when you get to the big leagues. So that's the biggest stat to me is the 3 walks.
Walks go up, strikeouts go down usually.
Yep.
Hot dog eating contest, July 4th. Odds are set. Wow. Joey Chestnut's minus 5,000, just for maybe a bad burp or a throw up or something. You gotta give me whoever's next highest. I'll look at this dude, Jeffrey Esper. I'd throw a little down on the Bet MGM app tonight. No, am I off? Am I plus? Minus 5,000. Is that fun? I don't want to put down.
How many has he won in a row?
A lot, but can you have a hiccup?
7 or 8.
Pun intended for hot dog eating
He's throwing
contest?
up the whole time. He's throwing up in his mouth the whole time. So there's no he's not getting injured. He's not choking.
That's better. This is better. Okay, this is something I can play with. I don't. It's a tough watch for me. I'll be honest. It's not my thing. But the total at 73.5, the under is at minus 120, and 67% of the money is on the under. I'll take the under. Anyone else?
Yeah, well, he only ate 63 last year. So I feel like the under is safe. Yeah, 73 and a half, dude, is a lot. But
but he added 4 inches of stomach mass. I don't know.
What?
Yeah, you're right.
What?
No, I'm just playing off what we're talking about.
By the way,
I know nothing about this.
When you watch this, why do the guys go?
They're shaking it down.
Yeah, shake it down.
They're shaking it down. It is,
he's won 15 of the last 16, by the way, and 7 in a row. Just FYI. I don't know if there's ever been a more sure thing than Joe. At some point, Joey Chestnut's going to eat a hot dog, turn into a hot dog, and just pour mustard all over himself, and the whole crowd's going to try to eat him. I don't know how do you end this run of immaculate hot dog eating?
I want to see Scotty try to eat 1 hot dog.
Oof. Nah, I'm good. Not burgers. I can crush. Give me burger eating contest.
Give me burger on a lettuce bun.
Yeah, exactly.
Chicago dog.
Right.
Chicago dog, no.
Nah, I'm not a dog guy. AJ, finish strong.
Oh, by the way, in case you guys are wondering, I'm in Chicago. I'm staying at a pimp hotel. And last night after dinner, I'm walking to the elevator with my kids, wife and kids, and guess who I ran into? Newly minted All-Star Whit Merrifield. And I also got to meet the Frog Stomper. I got to meet his wife last night. And I said, "You're the Frog Stomper." And she just busted out laughing. And I'm like, I'm happy Whit made the All-Star team so he doesn't have to come home and stomp frogs with you. So Whit was very appreciative of. His wife was great. And I think I might have been the first person to congratulate Whit on making the All-Star game.
I think you did. I have not texted him yet.
But he did say they waited at customs for 2.5 hours. He's like, oh, the joys of playing for the Blue Jays. So that they were a little bit upset that they had to wait for customs for 2.5 hours.
You know the deal. If you're a free agent, you want to sign with Toronto, that's part of the conversation. How much? Oh, well, they're offering, the X team's offering me the same amount. How long does it take to get through customs? Extra $3 million. Okay, I'm coming. I'll see you then. Good shit. Hey, enjoy your 4th, whatever you guys are doing.
Happy 4th.
Happy 4th, people. We'll still have podcasts and all kinds of clips running. You just won't see.
By the way, this is breaking news to Kratz and I that we did not have a show tomorrow.
Isn't that the best news?
Had no idea.
There are 3 holidays: Memorial Day, July 4th, Labor Day. Put it on your calendar. I said it now. Don't act like you didn't know.
What?
In September. You're not working on Labor Day.
Ken? What'd you say, Ken?
Shh, you're breaking up. Shh. Be live on Wednesday, but we'll have plenty for you on Tuesday the 4th.
Happy 4th. Happy birthday, America.